Lions win again, so we know what's at stake as the NFC number one seed looks like it's going to take a major victory total. Good evening, Hugh, as we get ready for a big one, Sunday Night Football.
Good evening, Joe. Sunday Night Football, man. What could be better? Only game in town. Everybody's watching. Everybody in the neighborhood that you came from is going to be watching.
Yep.
It's a good time.
Well, it is, and it's a challenge tonight. Hugh, well, first off, and then we'll get to a lot with this, including the injury report, which has no Devonte Smith tonight. What kind of challenge are the Rams? Because you look at their record, it's like 5-5. It's like they're blot team. But Hugh, they've been banged up for a lot of the season. They didn't have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. This feels to me like a more challenging game than just, I say to you, a 500 team. This feels like a good challenge for the Eagles tonight.
Well, it's the quarterback. To me, it's the quarterback. And you talk about this young secondary, when you talk about Quinyon Mitchell, Quintana Bay, and the exciting whites back there with Cooper Rush. I mean, it's one of those things where when you talk about the quarterbacks that we've seen in the last couple of weeks, I mean, they're comparable to college quarterbacks, if I'm being honest. Now you talk about outside of the one Joe Burrow, of course, outside of Joe Burrow, of course, respectfully. But this is a quarterback who's been around the block. He played for the Detroit Lions. You know, got them in a couple playoff games, won a couple playoff games with them, but ultimately couldn't get it done in Detroit. Went to L.A., became a Super Bowl champion his first year there. I mean, so he's a big difference maker. And I say all that to say this. It's going to be probably a little bit tougher because you're playing against a quarterback who's been in the league long enough to have played against some young guys who's probably going to make it difficult, especially when you talk about some of the reads and some of the things that these young men are potentially going to see back there in the secondary. It's going to be a tough one.
It is, and it's a chance, Hugh, for the Eagles to cement themselves and really remove all doubt because you said it. Look, they've won 6 games in a row, but that 6-game stretch had some teams in there that just stunk, right? We could just be real about it. The Cowboys are a bad football team, and the Giants are a bad football team, and the Browns. Now, last week they beat the Commanders, who looked like they were going to start to leak oil a little bit, but that was a good win. I don't want to take that win away. That was a good win. But the next 2 games on the road, starting tonight against the Rams, next week against the Ravens, these feel like the games that will give us a different sense of where they are. You could even include, Hugh, 4 weeks from now, they play the Steelers, right? 3 out of the next 4 games, they play teams with veteran quarterbacks. I mean, guys that have won, obviously Lamar's won MVPs, but like guys that have done a lot in the NFL. Stafford tonight has won a Super Bowl. Lamar has won a pair of MVPs. Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl. Like these are games in the next few weeks and coaches. Like think about this. Tonight it's McVay, right? Next week it's Harbaugh. 4 weeks from now it's Mike Tomlin. These feel like the challenges that are going to tell us how great are they, right? We know they're good. The Eagles are 8-2. If you're 8-2, you're good. But now we're going to find out, Hugh, over the next month, how great this team is.
Yeah, and I think that if you're this defense and you've been playing as well as you've been playing, if you're being honest with yourself, these are the challenges that you live for. Because you look across that schedule and, hey, let's be honest. You've played a lot of tomato cans. But a win is a win in the NFL. You want to measure yourself against some of the better quarterbacks in the league, against some of the better receivers in the league, if the young guys in the secondary. So there's no doubt in my mind that Cooper, Najee, and Quinyon Mitchell, they're looking forward to these matchups tonight.
Well, they better be.
The 2 Coopers against Puka and Quinyon.
Yeah, whatuld you call him? Quintana Bay and the exciting whites?
Yeah, because this, I don't know what his name is because it changes for Quinyon. But I like the exciting whites, though. The exciting whites is one that's going to stick.
That is going to stick. And,
yes.
And look, they're playing well. I mean, Reed's got a knack for big interceptions late in games, and Cooper looks like a star player. All right, the way I view this game tonight, Hugh, if the goal is the number 1 seed in the NFC, then they have to win this game tonight. And from that perspective, I believe this is a must-win. So right now, Detroit won today. They're 10-1. They win again. They won by 18 points. Detroit is just they look like the best team in
tomato can.
Yeah, they did play a tomato can, but they beat another tomato can. They're 10-1 now.
Yeah.
The Eagles are at 8-2. And the way I view this is if the Eagles are going to catch the Lions for the 1 seed, they got to keep winning because I don't know how many losses the Lions are going to have. Is it 3 by the end of the season? That's the number in my head. So the Eagles have to get to match them at 3. That means here they can only lose 1 more football game between now and the rest of the season. And you look at the tiebreaker scenarios, the first one would be head-to-head. Well, they don't play each other this year, so throw that out. The next one would be conference record. Right now, Detroit is 6-1 in the conference. The Eagles are 5-2, so that they're both trending in the right direction with that. The next tiebreaker, if we get there, he would be common opponents. And as we know, week 1 of the season, the Lions beat the Rams. When you think about trying to catch the Lions or match them for the top seed.
Yeah, you got to have this game.
It's tough to get there without this one. This is a big one.
You got to have this game. And, it's one of those things. it's still early enough in the season where it's plausible that the Detroit Lions could lose a game. But I hear what you're saying, Joe. This is going to be a good measuring stick. But at the same time, this is a good measuring stick for this Eagles team and where they are.
They are, and it's made more challenged tonight, Hugh, by the news we got on Friday that Devonte Smith is out for this game. So we don't have much sample here. This is only going to be the third game in Devonte Smith's career he has missed. Unfortunately, they've lost both the times he wasn't in there. Last year, Week 17 against the Giants, and then earlier this season when he missed the game against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's talk about the Devonte loss, how big it is, because I know he's not having the most dominant statistical season, Hugh, but he brings something unique to this team, which is it gives defenses just another problem to have to deal with, right? In the past game, you really can't double or triple team A.J. Brown, because if you do, Devonte Smith will cook you. Now, without him tonight, I just wonder how the Rams are going to defend this, because it feels like in the past game, they could send a lot of their resources at AJ and almost say, all right, Jalen Reagor, so you go, Jahan Dotson.
Yeah,
you get us.
Jalen Reagor, that's funny.
That was a Freudian slip.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not out there like Jalen Reagor tonight. But yeah, to your point, I would probably roll my coverage to AJ. And here's the thing. Going into this game tonight, I would, if I'm the defensive coordinator on the other side of the ball, I'm making a conscious effort to stop Saquon Barkley. Tough sledding for him. We've seen in the past where even when it's been tough sledding for him, he's found a way to get it done. But if I can make that tough for them early on, and the way that this front line is playing, see, that's the thing that I'm concerned about, because if I'm playing against this team and I'm bracketing AJ and say I'm playing press against Jahan, you have enough personnel up front where across the board you could get the matchup that you favor that could put pressure on the quarterback. And we've seen in the past where Jalen, if the first read isn't there, he doesn't like it, he tends to hold the ball a little bit. That's where I think is going to be the difference maker in this game tonight, Joe, is if Jalen Hurts gets the ball out of his hands quickly. If you get the ball out of your hand quickly and you get to your first read immediately, then I don't think that this pass rush is going to have a chance to get to him. But if that's not the case, and we've seen that the last couple of weeks, this could be a long game. Yeah, it could. The challenging part, and we were speaking to Dave Spadaro on Countdown to Kickoff. He'll join us in a little bit here on the pregame show. Hugh, when I asked Dave, what does he know about the seriousness of this hamstring injury, he didn't make it sound, I don't know if you heard it the same way I did. The way Dave spoke about Devonte, it didn't seem like, he'll definitely be back next week. The way he framed it was he wasn't close to playing this week, and then he compared it to, remember when AJ was out earlier this year and it was a few weeks? I think they got to be really cautious here. It's a hamstring. They need him for January. Yeah. I know, look, we all want to win this game. We want to beat the Ravens next week. But I get the sense here, Hugh, we might not see Devonte for a few weeks. And that's okay. I mean, that's the one thing, and I know we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. The Commanders lost again today. They now have 5 losses. The Eagles already beat them head-to-head. I don't want to say the division is over, but they have a comfortable lead now that they don't have to rush Devonte Smith back out there. They don't have to rush him back, and you want to make sure that your receiver is ready to go. This sounds like this is something that he's been dealing with for a while. Yeah, because he was he came off the field limping last week. He got through the game, but maybe he has been dealing with it for a while. Yeah, and this is when you have that much muscle on your body, or in this case, not that much fat, it takes a while for you to heal. Because that those fatty tissues help, the big fella such as myself not to pull muscles like that. So for him not to have that much fat on his body, it's probably going to take a little long for his body to heal. Yeah, it is. And tonight we'll see how they deal without him. It's going to be Dotson out there getting the run as the wide receiver 2, A.J. Brown on one side. And then, of course, here we'll find out how much they lean on Saquon Barkley, because he has been anything we could have imagined. He's been amazing. I mean, he's been incredible. He's go-to guy. I mean, look at his numbers are off the charts. I mean, right now, I think he's surpassed Derrick Henry in terms of the number one back, like all-pro number 1 this season. That's how good he's been. So tonight against a young Rams defense, they got to lean on him. And Hugh, I can't wait for the matchup of Vic Fangio on our side against Sean McVay. That's as good as it gets in the NFL. Yeah, no question about it, man. I didn't know, like when you brought it up, I didn't know that Vic Fangio was one of the few defensive coordinators that's had some pretty good success against Sean McVay's offenses. Yeah, when they were, I think it was 2018, they were rolling. They had 12-1 record, and they went to Chicago when he was there, and Fangio put a pretty good hurting on them. So then maybe he's got a book on him. We shall see. It's a great matchup tonight. Fangio on one side, McVay on the other. Eagles defense against the Rams offense. All right, coming up on the other side, we will be joined by Eliot Shorr-Parks. He is live in Los Angeles. We'll look at the player of the game, the Eagles offense, the quarterback.
and our weekly assessment of Jalen Hurts. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Driving a turkey? Don't kill it. Trade it. All month long, it's the Jets Giving Sales Event at Dell Chevrolet. For the Dell Vehicle Exchange Program, get out of your old car or truck and drive home a new vehicle with the same payment you have now, or maybe one that's even less. Dell Chevy is located on Route 30 in Paoli. Online at DellChevrolet.com. If you're worried you're going to pay too much for your next car, you don't know Jack. Se habla español.
Jack, sell them for less.
If there's one thing I learned from playing, is that a winning team is built on a solid foundation. The same goes for your home. That's why you need Groundworks on your roster. Philadelphia's experts in basement waterproofing, foundation, and crawl space repair. Their team of dedicated professionals is here to tackle any challenge. Whether you have water in your basement, sagging floors, or smells coming from your crawl space, Groundworks is here to protect your home for game day and beyond. Book your free inspection today at groundworks.com.
Black Friday savings have arrived early at Hester Chevy in Philadelphia. The Red Tech Savings Event is here with as low as 0% APR for 60 months on select new Chevy models, Blazer EV, Silverado EV, and more. Why wait until Black Friday when you can celebrate savings all month long? Experience the difference at Hester Chevrolet, Philadelphia's trusted Chevy dealer. Check us out at HesterChevy.com. Together, let's drive. Call 267-343-9094 for details.
Hester Chevrolet!
Hey, Joe Camera here. The holiday season, it's in full swing, and the showcases at Family and Company Jewelers are stocked and ready to go. Do yourself a favor and get to their showroom on Route 70 in Marlton, New Jersey. If you're planning to pop the question this year, guys, get to Family and Company Jewelers. How about you stuff her stocking with a diamond engagement ring? Or if you just want a little extra action under the mistletoe, you can't go wrong with a pair of diamond stud earrings. Check off your whole list with one stop to Family and Company Jewelers, South Jersey's holiday diamond destination.
Gonna dig a hole in your backyard? Call 811, don't be caught off guard, cause PA1 calls got your back to help locate those utilities stacked.
Play it safe and do your part so no one in the neighborhood's house goes dark.
But if you don't, and there's an outage, you might have to deal with some screams and shoutage, cause ain't nothing worse when your toilet won't flush, your lights go out,
or when your pipes bust.
Yeah, your neighbors are gonna love you. Know what's below? Call 811 before you dig. Help us at 50 and 5. More at PA1call.org.
Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President. Sticking to the fundamentals and not wavering from the game plan is a great philosophy for football and banking. And for nearly 160 years, our dedicated local PNC teams are in formation to help fans receive sound and reliable personalized financial advice to get them across the goal line. Because, as we see it, a win for them is a win for the greater Philadelphia community. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hey, right now, Guida Door and Window has their big winter sale going on with 40% off every expertly installed window. Also, get 40% off any entry door, patio door, garage door, and storm door. Plus, you can start your project with no money down and pay it off interest-free for up to 12 months. Act now to take advantage of these huge savings. Prior sales are excluded. Call Guida today to schedule a free in-home estimate at 877-GO-GUIDA or visit them at GoGuida.com. That's GoGuida.com.
This week at Acme, don't miss the football items of the week. Cheez-Its, Kellogg's Club Crackers, Rice Krispie Treats, and more for 2 for $5 when you buy 2. Stop in and discover why football is better at Acme, your tailgating headquarters.
We're all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan. Preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
This football season, get in the game at Acme. Buy participating products and receive touchdown tokens to redeem for entries into the Swoop In and Win sweepstakes. You could win 2025 Eagles season tickets or autographed Eagles merch and more. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, joining us right now live in Los Angeles. Eliot, Shorr-Parks. Eliot, how we doing tonight?
What up? How you guys doing today? Miss
What's
you
up,
guys
man?
out here, man. I mean, Hugh, I feel like you would have a good time out here in LA.
I believe I would.
I think you would too.
I've been to LA a few times. LA is different, but yeah, I think I would have had a good time.
I'll say this, though. It does feel like Philadelphia. I know I say that all the time, but I'm sitting here in SoFi Stadium looking out at the crowd, and it's early, but it's probably 70-30 Eagles fans. Certainly outside the stadium, it's mostly Eagles fans. But, yeah, a lot of Kelly Green here at SoFi Stadium so far.
And, Eliot, before we get into all the matchups and the player to watch here, it's a place that you've been a lot recently, and the Eagles, there's a lot of recent history out there. I mean, last year they went and won a game that was an exciting one. I thought Jalen played really well, and they closed it out late. And then you go back to, 2018 with Nick Foles' first game in there back in for Wentz when he got hurt. 2017, they clinched the division out there. That was the night Wentz got hurt. It feels like there's been a lot of these games out there between the Eagles and Rams in recent years.
Yeah, and tonight's another big one. I mean, you mentioned 2017. That was the last time the team won the Super Bowl. I know in 2022 they went there as well. But tonight has the chance to be that same kind of turning point for them in their attempt to get back to the Super Bowl and get Hugh on that bus to New Orleans. Like, this is a big one for the tiebreaker for first place. They got to win this one. It's a common opponent with the Detroit Lions. You have a really tough one next week against Baltimore. So, I know obviously the Rams not in the division, not like a true Super Bowl contender or anything like that in the conference, but just in terms of what could be a really big win for the Eagles, this is a big game tonight as they want to get that number 1 seed.
I agree. I would call it a must-win for the 1 seed, not for the division, not for the playoffs. Those things are more in hand, but for the ones, I think it's a must-win. I mean,
and that's what it's about right now.
Yep.
Right. I mean, Washington lost today. The Eagles are barring a collapse. We all know what happened last year, but barring a collapse, they'll win the division. And I think the more we watch football every week, it's pretty clear the two best teams of the NFC are the Eagles and the Lions. And the winner of that game could really just come down to, is that game in Detroit or is it home here in Philadelphia?
Yeah, and Detroit won again today, so they're 10-1. They get to host the Bears on Thursday for Thanksgiving, so that's a likelihood to get to 11-1. Eliot, as I play it out in my head, I'd be surprised if the Lions lost more than 2 more games. So I think 14-3 feels like a reasonable number for them. For the Eagles to get to 14-3 and tie them, they can only lose one more time. And you mentioned the common opponent with the Rams. That game really can't be tonight. Otherwise, they probably lose that tiebreaker, and then it won't matter anyway. So it seems early for this, but I really think if the Eagles are going to get the 1 seed, it's just hard to see the paths there without a win tonight. So I imagine there's a lot of gravity within that locker room. They know how important this game tonight is.
Yeah, for sure. And just being around the team this week, I think that they sense the importance of this game. But I also do think, look, the playoff implications, all those things are important. They absolutely matter. This is also the time of the season last year where this team collapsed like we've never seen before. So even if this was not an important game for seeding and tiebreakers and all that, I think there is an urgency or at least an awareness within the team of we cannot let what happened last year happen again. You see it? I mean, they're practicing instead of doing walkthroughs. Like there is a sense of, you know what, we're playing good football. We survived what was a really rough start of the season. Now it's about making sure it's not collapsing like last year. So definitely an important game tonight for the standings, but I also think it's an important game. You have Baltimore next week. I mean, one game could turn into 2 losses, and then all of a sudden, everything we're talking about in terms of is the collapse happening again. So definitely an important one tonight outside of just the standings.
Let's get to the player to watch. Sponsored by the Bricklayers and Allied Craftworkers, Local 1 of Pennsylvania and Delaware. Now hiring bricklayers, stonemasons, and rubble masons. Visit BAC-1.org to apply today. Here, you're probably not surprised who I'm going to say is the player to watch tonight. I'm going to go with the quarterback because his season has been good, but there's every week it feels like there's a couple moments we say, well, what's going on there, right? It just looks a little off the passing game. And Hugh, it's now complicated tonight without Devonte Smith.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that the most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, is that Jalen gets the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. I think that when you talk about a path for the Rams to win this game, that's probably the path that they're going to try to take. They're going to try to make the quarterback hold on to the football. And they got a couple of guys up front that can rush the passer. They're going to try to spin the game or turn the game into their favor by cutting those guys loose and allowing them to get after our quarterback.
Eliot, what's your thought on Jalen right now, especially as we enter tonight without Devonte Smith? We haven't seen this very often. He's only missed 2 games in his career. Eagles haven't won either. One of them was week 17 last year, week 18, where they kind of gave up halfway through anyway when AJ got banged up. So, I mean, it's a small sample to go off of, but he's obviously a key player. And you would think tonight it makes life a little more challenging for Jalen as they could kind of load up the coverage on AJ.
Yeah, definitely. I do think a key matchup in this game that will not include Jalen, but will certainly impact how well he can play is the Eagles' offensive line versus that Rams defensive line. I would argue the Rams defensive line is the strength of the entire team. Obviously, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are great players, but they have 4 legit pass rushers along that line that all have really good pass rush numbers this year. And I say that to say that that's the strength of their defense. If Jalen has time in the pocket, that Rams secondary is not very good anymore. The passing numbers are not great. And so while you're missing Devonte, I think that having AJ out there obviously is a big deal. Dallas Goedert, obviously a big deal. And Jahan Dotson, I think, has been better and better as the year has gone on with the opportunities he's getting. Obviously, he's not getting a ton per game. But early on in the year, it felt like every time Jalen threw the ball to him, it was five yards over his head and not even catchable. Now it feels like they're on the same page a little bit more. So if Jalen has time in the pocket and the Eagles offensive line gives him that time, I don't think the loss of Devonte is a big one against this particular secondary.
Yeah, you mentioned time. One thing I think is worth noting with Jalen, he's taken a high percentage of sacks, Eliot. You know, it's not so many. It's not like every time you look at the game and after it's over, there's not 6 or 7 in the box score because the Eagles only throw it, 20 to 25 times. But based on how often he drops back, it's a lot of sacks. It feels like that's something that has to change here. Otherwise, it's just going to start hurting them eventually.
Yeah, and the sacks, obviously, when you get stuck behind the sticks, that is a big deal. But I think what's really hurting this passing game in a way is I think Jalen is off time in the pocket. I think oftentimes you watch these plays and there are throws to be made earlier than Jalen is throwing them. Now, sometimes he's able to avoid pressure. He's able to make something happen, and that certainly is a positive. He has run for more first downs than any other quarterback in the NFL. We've seen him make a lot of big plays on third downs. But when you talk about the pressure Jalen allows, to me, that is from holding on to the ball, not getting it out on time, as opposed to, poor pocket presence. Now, he hasn't been great with that, but I think his bigger issue has been the timing in the pocket. So it's really important for Jalen to get the ball out quickly. The routes are designed from watching it to get the ball out quickly, and I think that's why he's been inviting so much pressure. It's because he's holding on to the football.
Eliot, do you have a sense of how long this Devonte Smith injury might be? When we had Dave Spadaro on last hour for Countdown to Kickoff, I asked him, and he referenced the A.J. Brown injury earlier in the season to where it's a hamstring. You never know. They could be cautious here. So, we didn't find out till Friday he was out, but now the more you think about it, maybe this isn't just this one game. Maybe he's going to miss a little bit of time here.
Yeah, so I thought there was a shot he wouldn't play against Washington. I think if that wasn't as big of a game, you probably wouldn't have seen him out there. You see video of him limping off the field after the Washington game, didn't practice at all this week. And I think he probably plays next week. I don't get the sense it's as bad as AJ's, but this team has bigger goals now. When they were 2-2, there was an urgency to get players back right away, right? And tonight is an important game. Trust me, we talked about it. I'm not diminishing it. But when you're 8-2 and you have a legitimate shot to go to the Super Bowl, a guy like Devonte Smith, you want to make sure is healthy come December and January, as opposed to pushing him back now. So I don't think this is as bad as AJ's, but I mean, it's definitely a real injury. Like, it's not like they were just resting him and it's going to be a 1-week thing. I think this is something he's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, which means they could be out with him, a couple games here at least, Hugh, which means they could continue to rely on the run game. I mean, they run the football as much as anybody in the NFL. And it's amazing because we're moving towards December here. It's Thanksgiving on Thursday, and Saquon Barkley hasn't shown any sign yet of slowing down.
Business decisions. I told you a long time ago, Joe, that this is the time of year where guys make business decisions, especially if you're running the football well. You need to run the football well, and we're doing that. And you're going to see guys probably out there tonight that really don't want to tackle Saquon if you get in that secondary.
Yeah, and Eliot, it's a young defense for the Rams. I mean, they got some players, as we were talking about, and we'll get to their the best young player who's in the Rookie of the Year race against the Eagles' best young defensive player.
Yes.
But it feels like they've got some guys the Eagles might be able to pick on, linebacker, secondary. They're strong up front, but in the back end, that feels like where maybe the Eagles can make some plays tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I really think if you look at their defense, it's not impressive in the back seven. The front four are very good, but the back seven has not been good. They're 29th in net yards allowed per passing attempt this year. Obviously, that means they're at the bottom of the league. There's only 3 teams that have been worse. And the defense overall, as much as we can talk about how good their pass rush is, it is very good. their defensive numbers are not good. They're 24th in total defense. They're in the middle of the pack on third down defense. So they have struggled to keep teams out of the end zone this year. And that is because if the pass rush isn't getting home, you can really take advantage of back seven. So I agree with you. No Devonte tonight is a blow to the offense. But I don't think this is a situation where the Rams have a corner that can shut down A.J. Brown. It's not a matchup issue for A.J. Brown. Whoever is across from him in this game, he should be able to win that consistently, and Jalen has to go get him the football.
He does. That's his job tonight. That's why he's a player to watch. All right, coming up on the other side, we will dive into the state of the Defensive Rookie of the Year race, which is on display tonight. The Rams have a star. The Eagles have a star. Who has the edge? The case for Q. Eliot lays it out next. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Football is all about protection. Helmet protects your head. The line protects the QB. But what's protecting you? With Penny, Pennsylvania's health insurance marketplace, you can protect yourself with high-quality health coverage at the lowest cost. It's open enrollment. Doors are open for Pennsylvanians to apply and enroll at penny.com. Enroll by December 15th. You're worth protecting at pennie.com. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Brandon Graham here for my good friends at Primo Hoagies. Football season is here, and big games mean big parties. Football is all about the experience, and what better way to experience a winning season than with winning food. Made only with the highest quality meats and cheeses, and served on Primo's award-winning seated roll. Baked fresh every day. Don't settle for an average catering tray. Make it Primo. Order online at primohoagies.com or in-store at your nearest location. It's not just a hoagie, it's a Primo.
Day and night, PGW puts our energy into keeping you safe at home. PGW's 24/7 safety monitoring, infrastructure upgrades, and industry expertise help to deliver the essential energy you rely on and trust. And every mile of infrastructure we upgrade keeps energy delivery in Philadelphia more clean and more affordable. When you see us in your neighborhood, we're working harder than ever to stay on schedule and continue the work of keeping you safe at home. Remember, natural gas smells on purpose. Smell us? Tell us. PGW.
Homeowners, improve your family's comfort with a Bradford White water heater and enjoy all the hot water your household needs all day, every day. With Bradford White, you get more than just a water heater. You get our commitment to quality and reliability that you can trust. How you heat your water matters, so don't compromise when it comes to your home or your hot water. Bradford White water heaters are built to be the best because your home deserves it. Visit BradfordWhite.com to learn more and find an installation pro near you.
Get the Honda of your dreams during Happy Honda Days with a sporty new Civic, Accord, HR-V, or CR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 2.9% APR on a 2025 Honda Accord or CR-V, a 4.9% APR on a 2025 Civic, and a 3.9% APR on a 2025 HR-V.
Contact your local Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details. Exclude Civic Si and Type R.
What's on the menu for football season? Pork, of course. Get ready for game day with Hatfield and put some pork on your fork. Elevate your kickoff cuisine and halftime feast with Hatfield's winning lineup of marinated pork tenderloins, pork loin fillets, ground pork and sausage, bacon and ham. Whether you're the tailgate king or gridiron gourmet, Hatfield helps you savor the taste of victory. Visit simplyhatfield.com for play-by-play menu inspiration. Find your flavor with Hatfield.
This football season, get yourself a win by losing. Call NJ Diet today and you will lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days, contractually guaranteed. You'll shock family during holiday get-togethers, and more importantly, your doctor should finally be able to give you good news about your blood work. Not only that, but losing weight is linked to help boosting low T. Best of all, there are no shots or nasty side effects. Call today, 855-5NJ-DIET, or go to njdiet.com.
Pennsylvanians are creating their own soundtrack thanks to PA Lottery Scratch-Off's Excitement's back. Pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters, no matter your choice, scratching's always in order. With big top prizes and second chance drawings, thrills await. They're out there calling. If it's excitement you seek and you're looking for action, play the PA Lottery. And keep on scratching. Must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered? Oh...
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio. We're joined by Eliot Shorr-Parks. He is live tonight out in Los Angeles for the pregame show and obviously for a big game, Sunday Night Football, between the Eagles and the Rams. Let's get to the state of the race, and we got a fun one to break down tonight.
The state of the race.
Well, we know what's on the line tonight. For the Eagles, supremacy in the NFC, but for two particular players, Eliot, the favorite status for the Defensive Rookie of the Year on the line. And I feel like we could be having a reverse of last year, because last year, Jalen Carter was the favorite up until now, and then it kind of flipped, and he didn't win the award. And this year, Jared Verse from the Rams, their pass rusher, is the favorite. And it's not like he's fallen off. He's a good player. But Eliot, Quinyon Mitchell, as you're going to lay out the case for Q, he's starting to really come on here and get some national recognition, and maybe he will, by tonight, be the favorite for this award.
Yeah, let's all be adults here and pretend that. And then look, I'm sorry to say this to you, Hugh, obviously, because you were the king of getting sacks. But sacks are not the only stat out there. And what you see when you look at the Rookie of the Year stats this year is that everyone's just looking at the sacks for Jared Verse and saying he should be the favorite. And he's had an outstanding year again. But Quinyon Mitchell has been the better rookie this year than Jared Verse. And if the voters actually do their research and look into the stats, the case for Q is very clear. He should be the Defensive Rookie of the Year. He has 8 pass breakups. Only 6 cornerbacks in the entire NFL have more than that. He's one of only 2 cornerbacks in the NFL yet to allow a touchdown. He has 10 forced incompletions. Only 1 cornerback in the NFL has more. So when you look at Quinyon Mitchell, the argument is not he's been the best rookie corner. He's clearly been that. He's been one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. He's doing it on a better team for a better defense, playing a tougher position. I think he should be Defensive Rookie of the Year. And tonight, I think that'll be clear to a national audience.
Hugh, agreed? Does Quinyon have to do more? Like right now,
you need a pick.
Hugh Douglas has his vote. Forget that you're an Eagles Hall of Famer. You have a vote today. Are you writing down Verse or are you writing down Mitchell?
Man, it's hard. It's hard to have 6 sacks in the NFL as a rookie, man. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and he's playing well. If he had a pick, he would have a stronger case to me. He needs to get a pick tonight. This is not zero sum. There's still a lot of football left to be played. He needs to get a couple picks, though. He needs to get some picks.
So, Eliot, let's talk about that. So you laid it out, and you said if the voters really are kind of diving in here, and there's other ways to assess a corner rather than just interceptions. But I think Hugh's onto it. I think that's going to flip it, right? Quinyon has to make a play that we all see rather than, hey, he's covering someone well, and they don't throw him the ball. That feels like what he needs to flip the narrative on this thing.
So I would agree with that, but I think what's baked into what you're saying, while I agree is true, what's baked into it is somewhat laziness by the voters, right? Like, you're right. I think he needs an interception to really kind of become the favorite for the award. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't be the favorite now. You say he should make a play. He made lots of plays. He made lots of plays against Malik Neighbors when they couldn't get him the ball. Made lots of plays against Terry McLaurin when they couldn't get him the ball. Lots of plays against Jamar Chase. So when we talk about why this defense has turned around, why they've gone from a 2-2 team to a team that tonight is the clear, more Super Bowl contender than the Rams, Quinyon Mitchell's a big part of that. It's nice what Jared Verse is doing, for sure, but he's doing it for a bad defense on a team that realistically hopes to win 1 playoff game. So, yeah, Quinyon needs to make a play because a lot of voters won't look beyond the stats, but it's unfortunate that's the truth.
Well, to go back to the comp I made earlier, this could help Quinyon because last year I felt that Will Anderson for the Texans, kind of pulled away from Jalen Carter because his team was in bigger games later. The Eagles fell apart. And meanwhile, the Texans were a big story. They won their division. He played in that win and go to the playoffs game at the end. So tonight's a big night for both these guys, but certainly Quinyon. What's on the menu? Sponsored by Hatfield. Put pork on your fork. Visit simplyhatfield.com for game day recipe inspiration. Now, Eliot, it would help Quinyon be able to make that play we're talking about if teams attacked him more. Now, he's doing such a good job. No one is. But, Eliot, tonight strikes me as a night with their receivers and with the way Stafford will throw the ball into tight windows. I don't think he's not going to be targeted tonight. Like, I feel the ball will be thrown Quignon's way, and maybe it'll be incomplete. Maybe I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like tonight is one of those nights where he's probably tested more than he has been in recent weeks.
I agree with you. I think that, to your point, Matthew Stafford has one of the best arms in the NFL, and he's certainly not afraid to use it. He will throw it in the tight windows. He will not shy away from one side of the field. So, look, Quignon is going to get tested. Now, the tough thing is, and we saw this in that Cincinnati game, or at least thought we were going to until T. Higgins didn't play, the Rams have receivers that move all over the field. Cooper Kupp has lined up more in the slot this year than he has on the outside. So tonight is about Quignon, if we want to do the Quignon versus Jared Verse Rookie of the Year thing. But from an X's and O's standpoint for this game specifically, Cooper DeJean's a big part of this game too, because he is going to be lined up against Cooper Kupp quite a bit tonight. I would probably guess more than Quignon is going to be.
Coopers.
Exactly. Cooper versus Cooper. Doesn't mean that Puka Nacua won't have something to do with this. Obviously, Quignon will be matched up against him as well. But, yeah, it's a really tough matchup for the rookie corners. But far be it from me to tell them they can't do something, because each time this year they've been tested, they have really, gone out and aced that test.
Yeah, now it roped into that matchup is a great one with the Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio against Sean McVay. I mean, if you were to write down a list of just the best defensive minds in the league and then the best offensive minds, both probably are listed within the top 5 of their respective lists. Like, this is probably as good of a matchup as we've seen all year, with Fangio going up against one of the best offensive minds in the whole league. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that, Fangio has done a good job when he's matched up against these, I don't want to call it bells and whistles because that diminishes a little bit, but, like the Niners, the Dolphins, the Rams, the strength of their offense is the scheme. Mm-hmm. It is the play caller. It is, how they do things. And I think Fangio has done a really good job when matched up against those coaches. If you look earlier in his career, he played McVay, and he did really well. I think he held McVay to maybe 6 points or something like that. So he's had good experience, or good outcomes, I should say, when he's gone up against McVay. And it's not surprising. Fangio's been in the league for, 10 times as long as McVay is, or whatever it's been. So I don't think there's much Fangio hasn't seen that McVay can bring tonight that will throw him off.
Hugh, what makes McVay's offense is so good? Because now it's 2 different quarterbacks. It's a lot of years. This isn't like a 1 or 2 year wonder. He's been in the NFL now since 2017, and most years it's really good.
Innovative, creative, the way that he lines guys up. You talk about how Cooper Kupp line up in the slot and what they've been able to do with that. And you got Matt Stafford back there, the quarterback pulling the trigger. You saw it with Jared Goff a little bit, but it's a little bit different when you have a veteran quarterback out there that sees the field just a little bit differently. And then you talk about the addition of Cooper Kupp. The addition of Puka Nacua on this team as well. That's what kind of makes it difficult to go against.
Yeah,
I would also say, Joe, to talk about, going up against these kind of play callers where the personality of the offense is the play caller and the schemer. Cliff Kingsbury, not in the category of the names we just talked about, but similar in the way that, he's gone to Washington and their offense has been successful because of the scheme. And we all saw what Vic Fangio did to that defense earlier this year. So I think that Eagles fans should have confidence in the defense tonight.
I agree. Well, they've played great. I mean, since the bye, they've been the best defense league. And Fangio gets extra time to prep for this one, too, because Eagles played that Thursday night game. Rams played last Sunday. All right, coming up next, we'll be joined by Dave Spadaro. We'll react to some inactives as they come out here and talk about the player of the game. The Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, Eagles fans, this is Merrill Reese. Phones weren't made to be broken, but life happens. So when you break your phone, Verizon in Philly's got you. Trade in any phone from one of their top brands in any condition, guaranteed, and get a great deal on one of their best 5G phones with unlimited ultimate. Switch now and save. Available at a Philly area Verizon store.
Miss Jill Scott here, partnering with Pico, the team that powers what matters to my hometown and yours. They're connected to our communities because they live, work, and play here too. You can find Pico volunteering in our neighborhoods, embracing clean energy, partnering with local nonprofits like mine, and working around the clock to make sure the lights are on and the natural gas is flowing. And through it all, they're here to make sure we're all shining together. Learn more at pico.com/shine.
Driving a turkey? Don't kill it. Trade it. All month long, it's the Jets Giving Sales Event at Dell Toyota. For the Dell Vehicle Exchange Program, get out of your old car or truck and drive home a new vehicle with the same payment you have now or maybe one that's even less. Dell Toyota is just 8 minutes west of Exton on Route 30 in Thorndale. If you're worried you're going to pay too much for your next car, you don't know Jack. Se habla español.
Jack, sell them for less.
Get ready because Black Friday is on at Gerhardt's Appliances, and it's bigger than ever. We're pulling out all of the stops with this Samsung 4-piece stainless steel package for just $9.99. That's right, $9.99 after rebate. Looking to upgrade your refrigerator to counter depth and have air fry in your range? Well, we got you with this LG 4-piece package for only $19.99 after rebate. Only at Gerhardt's Appliances, the heart of the kitchen for over 80 years.
Well, the cold weather has arrived. But what kind of cold? There's the, yeah, you might take a jacket cold. Then there's the, I can't feel my hands. Those are my hands. Well, I can't feel those either. Cold. And you do not want to be saying that inside your home. Henderson Heating and Cooling Services will not stand for that nonsense. Our experts can have you relaxing as soon as the next day. And if it's a new HVAC system you need, Henderson will install a new one with no payments and 0% interest until 2025. Schedule today at WMHenderson.com.
This season, Chevy brings classic pairings, cookies and milk, mistletoe and kisses, and your holiday plans and a new Chevy. Silverado 1500 gives you power and capability with 430 pound-feet of torque to haul your holiday tree. Equinox EV and the all-new Equinox offer award-winning quality and style to see you through the holiday season. See why Chevy makes everything better and brighter. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
Bird Gang Spirits is made for the true Philly fans, the pre-gamers, tailgaters, dieharders, and lifelongers. Now you can raise a glass to number 25 himself, Eagles legend LaShawn Shady McCoy, with their new very limited edition Bird Gang Shady Bourbon Whiskey. Crafted to honor Shady's induction into the Eagles Hall of Fame, this special release is the spirit of Philly pride in every port. Pre-order now to reserve a bottle or two of LaShawn Shady McCoy's Bird Gang Kentucky Bourbon at BOTLD.com. Please drink responsibly.
There are lessons to be learned every day, and every day is an opportunity to find our purpose. It begins with a game plan, not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. Because when the lights are on, that's when preparation meets opportunity. Build your tomorrow at LincolnFinancial.com.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, you guys with us, and of course with us right now from out in Los Angeles, California, Dave Spadaro, as we get a chance to talk about this game one more time and some of the matchups. Dave, how's the atmosphere out in SoFi Stadium right now?
It's good. I mean, there's a lot of Eagles fans here, and everyone's gathering down by the field, and so, you know, it will be I feel like a home field advantage for the Eagles once again here in Los Angeles. But it's just it's such an impressive marvel of a stadium. It's a huge, just technologically advanced building, and I'm looking forward to going down there and seeing what's up around the field, see how much Eagles energy there is, because there's going to be so many Eagles fans here tonight.
Yeah, and it's felt like a home field advantage in the years they've gone out there before. Last year, Hugh, you and I watched the Eagles-Rams game last year at a bar down in Atlanta.
L.A.
Because we were down in...
No, we were in Atlanta.
We were in Atlanta.
But they were in L.A.
Yeah, right. We were down there for the Braves and Philly series, and I remember watching that game, and it was... Whenever the Eagles made a play, Hugh, it was loud. That's got to be an amazing feeling as a player when your team travels, your fans travel with you.
I'll tell you what, man, there's no better feeling when you're walking out for warm-ups, and I'm pretty sure, Dave, you see this all the time, and you look in the crowd, and you see that a sea of Eagle green no matter where you are. It's a warm and fuzzy feeling. It's like a warm blanket on a cold winter night.
And I love when the home teams have to go to the silent count and at home, and because the Eagles fans are so loud and so pro Eagles, and that's the advantage this travel situation is. This is a great group of fans. There's so many ex-Philadelphians who live out here, and every time the Eagles play in Los Angeles, it is a huge home field advantage.
No question. Let's talk about the power player of the game, sponsored by IBEW Local Union 98 in partnership with Nika Pell Den Jersey. They're proud to power progress in Philadelphia. Dave, a guy that I feel like we bring up every single week with good reason because he's had an incredible season out of nowhere, and that is Zach Bond. Dave, it's to the point now, and you mentioned it last hour when we were discussing things, in the future, it's hard for me now to imagine this team without Zach Bond. He's been so good on a one-year deal, and we'll see where the future goes. But they hit a home run as good as they have with any of these one-year deals in a long time.
Agreed. And we have all been so complimentary of Howie's offseason approach, how aggressive the Eagles have been, bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, bringing in Saquon Barkley. I mean, the argument is that Zach Bond has been just as valuable as anybody on this defense and on this football team. He's been sensational week in, week out, and does it all. You know, he's a linebacker who can bring the pass rush. He's an excellent tackler. He's been excellent in coverage. He's gotten his hands on the ball a lot. He's always around the football. And the Eagles linebacker situation for so many years, we've always wondered about this group. He and Nakobe are now playmakers, and I think that's been an underlooked part of the success of this Eagles defense. The cornerbacks have been great. The pass rush has been much improved. The run defense, great. But the way those linebackers have played, and Zach Bond in particular, really has made a difference.
Hugh, it's funny that just thinking back to the way we talked about Zach Bond, like when it first started, like, wow, he's pretty good, right? Like he could play a little bit. Then it was like, whoa, he's playing really well. Then it was, maybe he's a Pro Bowler. And Hugh, I think 2 weeks ago I said to you, this guy looks like an all-pro. It's amazing how, as the year has gone on, it's like struck us more and more how good he's playing.
You know what's funny to me? I think it was last week when he gave up it was a wheel route with the back came out the backfield.
Eckler.
Yeah. And he gave up that score, and I thought that was going to be the turning point where, like, he got exposed a little bit, hunkered down, and they played well. That was when you look at it, was the only play that the Commodores were able to make. He looks legit, man, and it's amazing to me, Dave, and I don't know if you see it this way, but how could you not tap into this ability when he was down there in New Orleans? Like, what were you doing down there where, you didn't see that this guy could play a little bit, and you just had him on special teams?
Yeah, but different defense, different role here, opportunity to play. The Saints have a good defense. Hugh, it's interesting you mentioned that about the wheel route. A copycat league. Watch tonight. See if the Rams attack Zach Bond with Kyron Williams running a wheel route.
That's going to happen.
That's going to happen. And we'll see what Zach learned from that mistake last week against the Commanders and how he adjusts and how the defense compensates for that. But I would imagine that, once you see somebody get beat like that, you go back to it. And so the mark of a great player is learning from your mistakes, not making that mistake again. And we'll see tonight, because I would imagine that Matthew Stafford is going to pull that one out and challenge Zach Bond.
Dave, the other side tonight, no Devonte Smith. We've talked about a lot so far tonight. When you think about Devonte's 6 or 7 targets a game, how do you think they'll be dispersed here? Obviously, Dotson's going to get that start and play. Could also be more targets for Dallas Goedert. Maybe even some more to Saquon. It feels like the Saquon-Jalen relationship in terms of pass catching has come on in recent weeks as well.
Yeah, I think the Eagles want to target the safeties of the Los Angeles Rams, so I would not be surprised if we see A.J. running some post routes, middle of the field, get the ball to Dallas Goedert in a vertical situation, challenge those safeties. And then Dotson should get a few targets. I mean, it is vital for Jalen Hurts to trust Jahan Dotson. And the only way to build that trust is to give him an opportunity to make plays. So, and I do think, I know we've talked about this, will the Eagles just run? If the Rams do not stack the box tonight, I will be stunned. And so, if they stack the box, you throw the football. It's not very complicated. If the box is loaded, you throw the ball. And with the coverage shaded to AJ, I think there's opportunities down the middle of the field to Dallas Goedert, Jahan Dotson as well. But I think that's where it goes. It goes to Dallas Goedert and 1 or 2 to Dotson. In the pass game with Saquon, love to see it. I think he's getting plenty of touches in the run game as well.
Well, he is. A lot of them, and he's been really successful in almost all of them. All right, coming up on the other side, and we appreciate Dave hopping on from SoFi Stadium. We'll talk to Femi Abebefe from Odyssey and You Better Your Bet on tonight's game, and looking forward to the NFL. Maybe his thoughts on the Defensive Rookie of the Year as well. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Piazza Premium Automobiles is proud to serve as the halftime sponsor of the Eagles Radio Network as the team drives for another win. Experience ultimate luxury in a newer certified pre-owned vehicle from Piazza Premium Automobiles with exclusive brands like Land Rover, Jaguar, Porsche, BMW, Infiniti, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Mercedes-Benz. You're sure to elevate your drive. To find the Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey location nearest you, visit PiazzaPremiumAutos.com.
The Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers Local 1 of Pennsylvania and Delaware, founded in 1865, is the longest continuous union in North America. Founded right here in Philadelphia. Bricklayers, stonemasons, rubble masons looking for excellent and competitive wages, top-notch health care, safe working conditions, state-of-the-art training facilities, and premier retirement packages. Please apply within. Call the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers at 215-856-9505 or visit bac-1.org to apply today.
There's a chill in the air. You flip on the heat and nothing. And why does it always happen right after you've finally gotten cozy? For as little as $13 a month, Oliver will keep your home's heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical systems in check year-round. And guess what? Membership also comes with yearly inspections, exclusive discounts on repairs and replacements, plus priority emergency service.
Call Oliver for all of your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs.
John Ritchie here with a huge announcement. I'm teaming up with my friends at the Bush Auto Group to bring WIP listeners exclusive year-end savings. Listen up. Visit bushautogroup.com/John, Jon, to unlock your year-end specials. These offers are insane. Don't miss out, Philly. I've purchased a vehicle from them myself. They are the real deal. Save big with the people I trust at bushautogroup.com/John, Jon. Philly rides with us.
Where will Jalen look this year? Left, right, over the middle? He's a smart guy. He'll be looking for the Deborah Heart and Lung Center Red Zone, and with good reason. Like the Birds, Deborah has raised the bar on cardiac excellence by being named a high-performing hospital by U.S. News and World Report. And our alliance with Cleveland Clinic Heart, Vascular, and Thoracic Institute means that our patients get the highest quality of care that they deserve. After all, when it's your heart, your red zone, you don't take chances. DemandDeborah.org.
Hey, it's Joe DeCamera. This time of the year isn't just football season. It's not just the holiday season. It's the tire season, the best season of the year. And the best place to take your car is United Tire and Service. That's right. It's not just tire. It's United Tire and Service. They have it all, from new tires to full inspections and more. And you know, if you take care of your car, it'll take care of you. We'll take care of it at United Tire. For the best prices of the year, find the nearest locally owned United Tire by going to UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Drive United.
There's a chill in the air and the big red bows are on the cars. Make this holiday season a December to remember with a great deal on your new Lexus from Lexus of Cherry Hill. The 2025 Lexus are arriving daily. Over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Lexus of Cherry Hill, now a 7-time J.D. Power Dealer of Excellence winner for the customer sales experience. Visit LexusofCherryHill.com. Lexus of Cherry Hill, family owned and operated.
When it comes to your home, trust is everything. For 45 years, Kitchen Magic has built a reputation for transforming kitchens with precision and care. From custom cabinets to countertops, backsplashes to storage solutions. And we get the job done fast. In just a few days, your dream kitchen becomes a reality without the hassle. So trust the name your neighbors have relied on for decades. Kitchen Magic. Get your free in-home consultation at kitchenmagic.com and let's cook up something extraordinary.
Look at you. Your life is under control. Errands done. Groceries, got them. Be proud of yourself. It's time to give yourself a reward. You know you've been waiting all day for your favorite tasty cake treat, but which one? There's so many great choices. Is it the delicious crimpet or the mouth-watering candy cake? Maybe it's the tasty baked pie. No matter what you choose or where you are, it's always time for a tasty cake. So choose what feels right and enjoy. You've earned it, and you know you deserve it. Tasty cake, accept no substitutes.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, joining us right now from You Better Your Bet Odyssey, Femi Abebefe, as we get his thoughts on the game tonight, and maybe even a look at this Defensive Rookie of the Year battle between Quinyon Mitchell and Jared Verse. Femi, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. It's been a fun day of NFL football. I think this is when the NFL really starts to get good. We get close to Thanksgiving, head towards the playoffs. I think now the games start to ratchet up a little bit, and we've seen some interesting results already with some pretty live, ugly underdogs that have been able to win some games. So it's a good night.
It is, and it has been a day of underdogs. The Titans winning outright, the Dallas Cowboys winning outright, which obviously helps the Philadelphia Eagles. And now we looked at tonight, and we're in Philadelphia here, Femi. We're hoping that the underdogs stop winning because the Rams are the dog tonight. Last time I looked, the line had moved up to 3, but it kind of vacillated between 2.5 and 3. What was your thought as the week went on with this matchup? The Eagles heading to Los Angeles as a small favorite, and then we get the news Friday that Devonte Smith is out for this game.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting game because, I think, on paper, most fans will probably look at it and say, hey, there's all these offensive stars on both sides. The Rams have their guys, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. Eagles, of course, have A.J. Brown. Unfortunately, no Devonte Smith, but Dallas Goedert, one of the better tight ends in the league. And, of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Saquon Barkley, who might be the best offensive player that's not a quarterback in the league this season. But I think this game, just the more that I think about it, is probably going to be a little bit more lower scoring than what most people think, just because both of these defenses are really good. And I'll start off with the Eagles defense. Ever since the bye week, these guys have really bought into Vic Fangio's teaching, and you're seeing that Quinyon Mitchell be awesome as a corner. Obviously, the defensive line has really taken it up a notch. Jalen Carter in year 2 has been really, really good. So this Eagles defense has been good. And then quietly, the Los Angeles Rams in the past couple of drafts have done a really, really good job of stocking up on their defensive line. We all thought they were going to miss Aaron Donald after he retired this past year, but man, what Jared Verse is doing and Braden Fisk, those two rookies, then of course the two guys that are now in year 2 with Byron Young and Kobe Turner, it's a really talented young defensive line to where I think both offenses might struggle a little bit more than people think. And my guess is that we get a really close game. I don't know if I see the Eagles as a justified 3-point favorite, even though they're a really good team, but that's a lot of respect against a good head coach and a good quarterback in Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. So I think it's going to be a really fun game, a lower scoring game than people think, but I see this one going down to the wire. It's going to be a fourth quarter game.
Femi, we're guessing when this broadcast starts tonight with Sunday Night Football, they're going to discuss the Defensive Rookie of the Year battle. The two favorites playing tonight, Jared Verse for the Rams, Quinyon Mitchell for the Eagles. Femi, we were having a discussion earlier if Quinyon needs some sort of moment, an interception, some counting stats, because he's having one of those years where you're watching him every week and you know how well he's playing, but there's also no highlight because the ball doesn't get thrown his way. Meanwhile, the pass rusher on the Rams, he makes sacks. You see his impact. Where do you come down on this race? And do you think Quinyon needs a moment to really become the favorite here?
I think he definitely does. And that's just kind of more of an indictment on the voters than anything. Because I think anybody who watches the game or studies football well, they'll tell you that Quinyon Mitchell has probably been the best defensive rookie. But maybe some of the voters, there's 50 of them out there, tend to be a little bit more casual, look at some of the box score stuff. And I think the fact that he does not have an interception is hurting him in the race. Now, what better time than right now on a Sunday Night Football game to go ahead and get that pick for the whole country to see? So
Everybody
I think
watching.
if he makes a big splash play, I think that at that point maybe you see him sort of surpass Jared Verse in this Defensive Rookie of the Year race. But right now, the edge is always going to go to the pass rusher because it's a lot easier for those guys to get sacked than it is for cornerbacks to get interceptions.
Well, there's no question about that. That should be a fun matchup there. Last one for you, Femi, quickly. You mentioned Saquon, maybe best non-quarterback. Where do you come down? Do you think running back should get more love in the MVP race? Because every time we bring it up, there's that realization of it's really a quarterback award. But this year, it feels like Saquon is playing at a super high level to where you can include him if you have a ballot.
Yeah, and I think that this year he's going to be considered very seriously to win the award. Think about how all the quarterbacks are playing. Lamar Jackson, heck, if they lose on Monday night, they're now 7-5. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is not having his best statistical season. Now, the guy that Saquon Barkley is going to be competing with is probably going to be Josh Allen, who, of course, we saw them beat the Chiefs last week. They're on bye this week. But based on how Saquon's been playing, he's been seen as the engine of the Philadelphia Eagles offense, having a heck of a year. I think Saquon has a pretty good chance to do this one, and probably a chance that's much better than what the betting market thinks right now, where he's a pretty big long shot. He's definitely in the conversation among the 4 guys who can win the award.
Awesome, Femi. We appreciate it. Have a great week. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will talk soon. Femi Abebefe from Odyssey and You Better Your Bet. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
The Eagles are on a roll.
Touchdown! Barkley, 23-yard explosion.
He's unbelievable. Tonight, they return to the primetime spotlight with their sights set on their 7th win in a row.
Taking it one day at a time.
As the Eagles lock horns with the Los Angeles Rams. Today's game is sponsored in part by PNC Bank, PDQ Restaurant Point of Sale Systems, Verizon, NovaCare Rehabilitation, your Delaware Valley Honda dealers, Deborah Heart and Lung Center, Acme, Piazza Auto Group, and IBEW Local Union 98. You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon, and we got ourselves a big one tonight. The 8-2 Eagles, the 5-5 Rams. Sunday Night Football, the first of a pair of tough road games for the Eagles against some big-time quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford tonight, Lamar Jackson next week. Hugh Douglas, Joe Gill, Eliot, Shorr-Parks. We'll get you set for this game. Later in the hour, Merrill Reese will join us from the booth. We'll check in with a guest who covers the Los Angeles Rams to give you our predictions on the game. But right now, it is time for the keys to the game, brought to you by United Tire. For the best tire prices anywhere, don't drive alone. Drive United. ESP's 3 keys to the game.
3 keys with ESP.
All right, number one for me, number one key to this game. It's going to be a matchup you're not expecting. Jalen Carter versus Matthew Stafford. No, Jalen Carter won't be covering Matthew Stafford, but this is a really important matchup today. We all saw last year in SoFi Stadium, Jalen Carter throw Matthew Stafford to the ground, and the Eagles defense ended up having a good day against a pretty good Rams offense. That's the key to this one for me. Jalen Carter needs to move Matthew Stafford off his spot. All quarterbacks hate when there's pressure up the middle. They hate when they're moved off their spot. But you know who hates it more? Old, immobile quarterbacks. So this was a big one for me. Jalen Carter getting in the face of Matthew Stafford, making sure he doesn't have time back there. And if he does it, I think the Rams are going to have a hard time moving the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Hugh, it feels like with Jalen Carter, we're watching a young player go from sometimes great to more often great. I can't be more impressed than I was when we realized last Thursday night, like when it hit you, like he hasn't come off the field the entire night. He played every single snap on a short week. And I thought he was their best defensive player, maybe him and Quignon the whole night and Bond. But he has been great, and that's a big matchup because that pressure inside could change the game on Stafford.
It's that want to, man, and that's what he's been playing with. Somebody got in his ear, and somebody told him that you have the ability to be great in this league, and now he's starting to be that guy on more of a consistent basis. And love to see it. Love to see that from the young man.
Well, I remember last year, too, Eliot, that game that you referenced last year in L.A., I remember him after the game talking about the crowd and how it affected the snap counts of the Rams. Like he played off of that, and I just get the sense that he's just feels like he's maturing. I feel like we've come a long way, Eliot, from week 2 where he sat out a series for whatever. He was late for something with the team, like some sort of team infraction. He's come a long way as this defense has as well.
Well, it's interesting with this team as a whole. The team we saw in training camp, then the first month of the season was nothing like that. But I remember being in training camp with Jalen Carter, talking to him, and he seemed like he was very excited about embracing the role of being the team leader on the defensive side of the ball. He talked like he was a second-year player. He acted like he was a second-year player, and it was impressive. Obviously, that early on in the season, he had his slip-ups, and he was benched early on as a result for that. But since then, it's been very clear. When Jalen Carter plays his best football, this Eagles defense is at its best, and they need him to play his best football tonight.
Yeah, and he's given them, with him up front, and then you throw in Bond, and then you throw in the DBs. They've got a star or stars at every level. It's made this defense really, really good. All right, how about key number 2, Eliot?
Key number 2, score early and get a lead. We all know the Eagles struggle to score in the first quarter. Well, you want to know who scores less in the first quarter? the Los Angeles Rams. Now, it's not by much. The Eagles are 30th and the Rams are 31st. So these are not going to be high-powered offenses from the start of the game. But the Eagles getting a lead is big in this one. What you can't have let happen is the Rams get a lead. You're tempted into then going to a pass-heavy offense. You get away from Saquon. And look, I talked about it. Spadaro talked about when he was here. There's a lot of Eagles fans in this building. Get a lead early. Give them something to be excited about. And then if Jalen Carter plays as well as we think he can tonight, force the Rams into a lot of passing situations. Stafford will be risky with the ball. He takes chances because he trusts his arm. But the result of that could be some big plays from the defense. So get a lead early, especially against a Rams offense that also struggles to score early.
Yeah, what's interesting about that, Hugh, is they both struggle in the first quarter. It feels like if someone gets up in the first quarter and then the game follows their normal script, the team that gets up first is going to win, right? Because they both score a good amount second, third, fourth quarter. Feels like a first quarter lead tonight means a lot more than normal game.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like it's very important. Like the Eagles have been okay when they don't score in the first half. They haven't really done it all this year. But this is one of those games where if you allow the team, whoever gets up first is probably going to pace for the rest of the game and probably going to win the game. So you want to get out. You want to get out there and get up first.
It's really amazing, Eliot, that they've won 6 straight games, and this really hasn't been fixed. It's gotten a little better, right? They scored, what was it, when it bled over to the second quarter in Cincinnati? They scored in the first quarter against Jacksonville. But for the most part, it's been the same thing, right? You mentioned where the numbers are for the season. Dallas, it took them a while to get going. Last week it took them a little while to get going. It really hasn't affected things yet, and that's rare. I feel like typically that would.
Landon Dickerson gave a really good explanation for it in the Players' Lounge with me, Hugh, and Ike Reese. And he said essentially that what they see on the week from defenses in the season when they do their prep, when they watch previous defensive games, that almost always opposing defenses come out with a completely new game plan and show something that they've never shown. And that makes sense when you think about it. Not many teams have the offensive firepower that the Eagles have, so opposing defenses have to try something different to throw them off. It takes them a quarter to adjust to it, and then from the first quarter on, or the second quarter on, I should say, they have the second best offense in the NFL. So the slow starts absolutely could end up being a problem for them, but I think they know what the issue is, and I think overall they're adjusting to it quickly and obviously scoring a ton of points.
So before you go into your number 3 here, Eliot, I do think it's interesting. We've talked a lot so far on the show tonight about the Eagles defensive coordinator, obviously Vic Fangio, against the Rams, Sean McVay, right? That's the headline matchup. Yeah. The other side, Eliot, I think is interesting because of who is there with that team this year, right? We know it's Kellen Moore on the Eagles side, but a senior defensive assistant now with the Rams is Sean Desai, who was obviously the Eagles defensive coordinator last year for a part of the season and then hung out till the end. Eliot, what do you think about that? That Desai is on the other side tonight. He spent a whole year here. He knows this Eagles offense.
Yeah, it's a great point. And he knows Jalen, right? He knows he was in those team meetings. He knows what the Eagles think Jalen's weaknesses are. He knows what Jalen doesn't like. He knows how the Eagles try to, sculpt their offense so that they do the things that Jalen is comfortable with. So it's an excellent point by you. It's one I hadn't considered. And, it's a few weeks in a row with this now, right? Brian Johnson, obviously knew a ton about him from Washington. So Jalen has played well despite there being some familiarity on the opposing sideline, but no question about it. This is it wasn't billed as it, but the Sean Desai revenge game getting primetime billing tonight.
I'm sure NBC is going to open with that, the Desai revenge game. All right, how about key number 3, Eliot?
So I'm gonna squeeze 2 into here, but I think they're equally important. I'm gonna go Jordan Mailata versus Jared Verse, but also Lane Johnson versus Byron Young. We talk a lot about Jared Verse because of the fact that he is in that defensive Rookie of the Year race with Quinyon Mitchell, but they have another really good edge rusher in Byron Young. They both have 30-plus hits, hurries, and sacks this season. The interior of the Rams defensive line is good as well. I'm not diminishing them, but we all know that if you get pressure off the edge, Jalen, he gets a little, little skittish in the pocket. He gets happy feetish, right? He holds onto the ball. He doesn't do a good job. So, there's not many edges that you think Lane will lose a matchup against, and I don't expect him to lose it tonight. But Mailata and Lane Johnson against these edge rushers for the Rams, critically important.
Hugh, if you were the Eagles offense, how would you handle a front like this? Is this the kind of game where you try to get the ball to Jalen's hands quickly?
You got to get the ball out quick.
Or do you just trust your line? I mean, it's a really good offensive line.
You're going to take your shots, but I think initially, because I think their game plan is going to be to make Jalen hold on to the football. So initially, I'm throwing the ball quick. I'm going to get some quick plays, some quick slants, things of that nature to try to lull them into a false sense of security, make them think that the ball's going to come out fast all the time.
Yeah.
Then that's when you take your shots. But unfortunately for us, we're really not that kind of team.
No, it's more deep shots.
Yeah. We're not the type of team that's gonna get the ball out of hands quick. But I think if we do that, then that's gonna help us out tremendously because that slows the pass rush down.
Yeah, Eliot, I could see the thought in the Moore's head, in Jalen's head, that like if we have time, we could beat them down the field. They have no one that could cover AJ, but also that could lead them to taking sacks, right? If they're dropping back and it's Jalen's holding the ball, the odds are someone's going to beat someone up front, even though they've got great tackles here.
Yeah, Jalen is not good getting rid of the ball. I think he's done a good job with pre-snap reads this year in terms of recognizing the blitz, making sure the protection's in place, and I think the Eagles would tell you that. I think they've been very impressed with what he's done pre-snap, but that hasn't resulted in him getting rid of the ball quickly. Normally when you're getting rid of the ball quickly, it's because you know what you're looking at pre-snap, you see it post-snap, and you're good to go. Boom, that's where I want to go with the football. That's not really Jalen's game. The only time they can really get the ball out of his hands quickly is with these wide receiver screens that seem to never amount to anything but frustration from the fans. So I agree with you. I think that the offensive line of the Eagles with Jeff Stoutland almost always gives Jalen great protection. So it's hard for me to sit here and say that will be an issue. But if it comes down to it and Jalen has to get rid of the ball quickly, that is bad news for this Eagles offense because he's just not great at getting rid of the ball quickly in an effective way.
No, and it feels like, Hugh, with that, sometimes you see there's something there. And we're watching still photos or a replay, right? Like we're not in the pocket like he is.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
and we don't see what he sees.
Right.
I mean, we don't know his purview.
Totally. But when you see it every week and it looks like someone's open and what do you think he's not seeing out there? Do you think he's looking for the home run and avoiding the single? Or do you think he just doesn't see the single there in front of him?
Well, it's those windows close up quick. And maybe it's one of those things, and I'm speculating here, reckless speculation. I'm speculating that maybe he doesn't feel like his arm is strong enough to get that in there because you got to throw that on a rope. Like if that window is real small,
Sure.
Joe, the quarterback has to see that, identify that, and he got to throw that thing. He got to put some mustard on that hot dog, and he got to throw it in there. And I don't think that he believes that he could do that. Maybe. I don't know.
It's a great point by Hugh because, I mean, first of all, Jalen's had his arm his entire life, so he's well aware that he knows he can't put the ball in
his arm,
that window, right? Yeah, it's his arm, right? He's used to it. But I mean, I thought a perfect example of where Jalen's arm strength really kind of hurts them was the interception against Dallas. Now, Diggs made an outstanding play. He baited Jalen into the throw. He made a good play on the ball. But that's a throw that if Jalen has the ability to put it more on a rope, to quote Hugh there, put more mustard on that hot dog, like it's not an interception, right? The window was there. And, the throw against the Saints early in the season that was picked off by, I think it was the Honey Badger, if I'm not mistaken, the one to Devonte, that was there as well. If he puts it more on it, it's there. It's probably what doesn't like going over the middle either. So I agree. I think his arm strength in these tight windows, it's hard to get rid of it quickly because the windows don't open up quickly. They're normally tight windows when you're throwing it quickly.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to watch the juxtaposition on the other side because maybe it's the strongest arm in the league, or at one point it was Stafford, right? I mean, maybe Josh Allen has passed him now and a few younger guys, but Stafford has the rocket for an arm. But sometimes, Eliot, that also causes him to throw picks. I do think Jalen has done a much better job. Maybe it's just because he's taking less chances. Maybe it's because he's just done a better job. But the interceptions have really, I mean, other than that one you mentioned against Dallas, since the bye, he has done a really good job at not throwing the ball into the windows where you're like, oh, no. Like, we haven't had many of those in the last 6 weeks.
I agree. And that's why I think that while we can talk about maybe some of the limitations of his arm and his, those two instances I gave you there, obviously I think are the result of that. But I also think Jalen, like since the bye week, has done a really good job not taking chances with the ball. Like we said, Stafford has maybe one of the best arms in the NFL. He'll take chances because he trusts that arm. I think Jalen, for the most part, is well aware of his limitations and knows to be smart with the ball. I think sometimes part of the reason that he is, maybe not great in the pocket is because if there is a window there or a tight throw, he will elect not to throw it. And while it stalls the offense, and I'm not painting that as a positive thing, it's way better than turning the ball over. I'm pretty sure this year his interception rate is below 2%, and the only other season that happened was 2022. So he has done a much better job taking care of the ball, certainly than he did last year, and definitely since earlier in the season.
Let me ask you guys a weird question because you would typically just answer it a certain way. Do you think it could be a good thing, Hugh, if they get down tonight? We haven't seen them have to throw their way back into the game. You know what I mean? It's been on script.
I hear you, Joe. I don't feel like.
But they might have to do it later in the season.
I don't feel like dealing with that tonight.
All right.
I mean, I want to be able to get to sleep at a time.
Oh, you don't want your nerves all messed up.
I don't want to be all flustered.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but nah, I don't feel like getting down and have to hope that Jalen throws us back in the game. Not saying that he can't do it. I just don't.
I'm just trying to gather info for later in the season.
I just don't feel like having that. I don't feel like having that tonight.
Joe, I have some info for you on that. So early in the year, they won their only really shootout they played in, which was against Green Bay, right? So there is some evidence of Jalen being able to keep his team in the game. Now, I know he didn't play great against Green Bay. Trust me, he should have had more interceptions. But regardless, that was the only real shootout they've been involved in this year, besides arguably the Tampa game where he didn't have any of his players. And he did a good job with that. Last year against Buffalo, that was a shootout. He did a good job there. So I definitely understand the hesitation, or I guess the worry, I should say, of can he carry this team in a high-scoring game? But we've seen him do it. Like, I would guess their record when Jalen has to carry them to a win for points is better than people would think.
Well, it's a good point. And Eliot, as I watch Red Zone in front of me, Green Bay is about to get to 8-3, and their defense, since the Eagles put 34 on them, has been one of the best in the NFL. So in retrospect, that win in Brazil looks better and better. All right, coming up on the other side, we will talk to Merrill Reese live from the booth. His take on the game, SoFi Stadium, and a big one for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hi, this is Joe Mederchik, PNC Bank Regional President. Sticking to the fundamentals and not wavering from the game plan is a great philosophy for football and banking. And for nearly 160 years, our dedicated local PNC teams are in formation to help fans receive sound and reliable personalized financial advice to get them across the goal line. Because, as we see it, a win for them is a win for the greater Philadelphia community. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC.
Hey, Eagles fans, this is Merrill Reese. Phones weren't made to be broken, but life happens. So when you break your phone, Verizon in Philly's got you. Trade in any phone from one of their top brands in any condition, guaranteed, and get a great deal on one of their best 5G phones with unlimited ultimate. Switch now and save. Available at a Philly area Verizon store.
Know what's below, because even minor excavation projects like installing a mailbox, building a patio, or putting up a fence can do major damage. Contact 811 before you dig, or visit pa1call.org to submit a locate request to have underground utilities marked.
The Hess truck's back and it's better than ever to the rescue this year. The Hess truck's here.
The 60th anniversary Hess Fire Truck with car and motorcycle comes with lights, sounds, and a huge ladder. Only at HessToyTruck.com with free shipping and batteries.
Eagles fans, Merrill Reese here to talk about my friends at NovaCare Rehabilitation. Are you dealing with ongoing aches and pains? The physical therapist at NovaCare will help keep you active and doing the things you love. They have more than 200 convenient locations throughout the Delaware Valley and South Jersey. Visit NovaCare.com to schedule an appointment today. NovaCare is the official physical therapy provider to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles trust NovaCare, so can you. Experience the power of physical therapy.
Howard Eskin here, and get game day ready at your local PA Fine Wine and Good Spirit store with the original Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey for $3 off 750 milliliters and $2 off Jack Daniel's Fire, Honey, and Apple 750s, or a 4-pack of Jack and Coke or Jack and Coke Zero Sugar, now ready to drink in a can for $1 off. Jack Daniel's, born for the tailgate, and please drink responsibly.
Whiskey Specialty, 7% ABV. Jack Daniel's Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniel's is an older percent of registered trademarks of Jack Daniel's Properties Inc. Coca-Cola is a registered trademark of the Coca-Cola Company.
Watching our birds with the family is tradition. So is saving money on your heating bills. Sign up for the CNC Heating and Air Conditioning Maintenance Plan to minimize the wear and tear of your system and lower your bills this winter. In need of an HVAC replacement, CNC makes budgeting your new system easy with their 0% financing options. CNC Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York certified comfort experts. Schedule your free estimate today at cc-hvac.com.
This week at Acme, don't miss the football items of the week. Cheez-Its, Kellogg's Club Crackers, Rice Krispie Treats, and more for 2 for $5 when you buy 2. Stop in and discover why football is better at Acme, your tailgating headquarters.
We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan, preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Because when the lights are on, that's when preparation meets opportunity. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
This football season, get in the game at Acme. Buy participating products and receive touchdown tokens to redeem for entries into the Swoop In and Win sweepstakes. You could win 2025 Eagles season tickets or autographed Eagles merch and more. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hear Nick Sirianni's presser after the game on 94 WIP. This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show, the Philadelphia Eagles, powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, and joining us right now from the booth at SoFi Stadium is the voice of the Eagles, Merrill Reese. Merrill, how are you tonight?
I'm fine. You've got it wrong. It's SoFi Stadium.
So far in terms of from here or your view?
Yes, and yes.
So I'm guessing this is not one of your favorite venues.
Oh, no, it's one of my least favorite venues. We are in the stadium is in Inglewood, and we're closer to San Francisco.
Merrill, what is it like? Obviously, your view isn't your favorite. What's the building like? Because this is like one of the crown jewels of the NFL. They put all that money into it. They got Super Bowls there. Is it a nice building? What do you think of the stadium itself?
No, I don't care for it. It's got a roof on it, a cover on it. It's kind of opaque. You feel like you're outside, but then you look up and all you see are wires and girders. And then if you look at the end zones behind that, they're kind of open, wide open. So the kickers can be affected by the breeze. But it's a weird place. I guess if you're in the stands in the right position, it's a nice place to see the game. The public addressive system, particularly pregame with the music, is so loud that you can't hear yourself think. It would be, out of 32 teams, out of 32 stadiums, I would rank this somewhere between 28 and 30.
Oh, wow. Above FedEx, though, right? Is that still your least favorite?
Well, that would be Hard Rock in Miami because when you sit in the booth there, you can't see a third of the field. FedEx, at least you can see the field. You just can't see the scoreboards.
Yeah,
and you're so close to the crowd that they throw things at you and call you names.
None of that seems like it's good for a play-by-play guy. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's good. Merrill, let's talk about.
I'm so happy when we're at the Link. I'm so happy when we're at MetLife Stadium. That's another great one. I love Lambeau Field. I see more positives than negatives. But boy, there are some stinkeroos out there.
Yeah, it sounds like it. All right, Merrill, let's talk about the game tonight. It should be a really good one. Sunday night football between an 8-2 Eagles team and a Rams team, Merrill, at 5-5, but they look like they have the talent to maybe continue and make a run in the second half. Merrill, let's get to your keys to the game. What do you got for number one?
Number one, be prepared for a lot of motion. Matthew Stafford has seen it all. He is not reckless. So the Eagles have to be fundamentally sound.
Well, and with Sean McVay, a ton of motion, and it's a great matchup there with Vic Fangio against McVay, two of the best at what they do. That will be a big one tonight. Merrill, what about number two?
Number two, do you, by the way, know who the defensive coordinator is of the Rams?
It's Sean Desai, is it not?
No, he's an assistant. The defensive coordinator is Chris Shula,
Oh, wow.
the grandson of Don Shula.
Is that Mike Shula's son, the coach?
No, it's David Shula's
David Shula's son. All right, so how about that? So we have a third-generation Shula now? That's wild.
Third-generation Shula, he is their defensive coordinator. Sean Desai is a senior defensive assistant.
Hugh, we have a third generation of a coach you played against. Does it make you feel old, Hugh?
Yes.
Okay.
It does. He did. Mission accomplished.
Well, it worked. All right, Merrill, what are you thinking for key number two?
Number two, after weathering some injuries, Rams receivers Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are back in action. Show why the Eagles defense is ranked number one in the NFL.
And they have been incredible. It's not just a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 week blip. It's now 6 weeks of excellent play, including what they did to the Commanders last week. So show that again and try to hold down a big time offense. How about key number 3, Merrill?
Key number 3, turnovers and takeaways are big every game. The Eagles are now +2, but the Rams are +4. Turn that around and fly home with win number 9.
Well, it feels like the biggest difference here. You know, you just look at what they did early to what they've done lately. They've played better, sounder, but Merrill, those takeaways are a big thing. They've come in bunches here. It should be a great game tonight. Merrill, we're excited to hear you and Mike and Howard on the call for the Eagles and the Rams. Thank you, Merrill.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great afternoon.
You got it. There is Merrill Reese there who will have the call tonight. How about that? We have Chris Shula, a third-generation Shula.
Bro, all them Shulas out there coaching. That's pretty dope, though.
That is. At first, I thought he meant the Desai angle because Desai is a senior defensive assistant, but Shula is their defensive coordinator. So that's an interesting matchup to watch. All right, yeah, Hugh, he mentioned going up against Stafford and Nakua and Cup. We've talked about that a lot tonight. If you're Fangio, how are you approaching this? Are you trying to pressure Stafford? Because I can see it both ways. You don't want to give him time because he is a great quarterback. But also, if you pressure him and you send an extra guy and he picks up that blitz, he could kill you.
Yeah, this is a very interesting problem to have because you have a quarterback that's seen a lot. I think going into this game, you got some young guys in the secondary back there, so he's going to try to fool them. I think you got to be creative. And in that sense, you're going to probably blitz him a lot, but you're going to probably try to disguise as much as you possibly can the coverages. The good thing about this game and what I like about this game is that Vic is very, very confident in these young guys, and they've shown him a lot in a short period of time. So I think that he trusts them. So I wouldn't be surprised if he mixed it up a little bit as far as some of the blitzes and playing coverage on the back end, because it feels like you have a group that you could do that with. Like normally when you have young guys out there, your biggest concern is leaving them out there on the island and them getting spun like the top. I don't feel like Vic feels that that's going to be the case with these guys. So that's why this matchup to me is very, very interesting. I want to see how he attacks that offense and what they do on the back end, with that veteran quarterback in Matt Stafford.
So I know, look, it's not perfect because they'll move guys around, they'll motion, but the two matchups are the most interesting tonight, Hugh. You mentioned earlier Cooper on Cooper, right? When they put Cup in the slot, the Cooper versus Cooper thing. And then the other one is when we do get Quinyon Mitchell on Puka Nacua, because that is Puka, Hugh, strikes me as a difficult matchup for most corners.
Well, he has a size advantage.
Reminds
He's
me
about 10, 20 pounds heavier than Quinyon.
I would think at least. He reminds me of remember Anquan Bolden back in the day? He was just he wasn't that fast, but he was big.
Yeah, and he was physical, man. Yeah, a little bit of that. So it's going to be interesting to see that because, like I said, he has Quinyon by about 20 pounds. So he's probably going to try to lean on him a little bit. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. And the pass rush is going to be you got to be able to get to that.
Well, then the other thing is, let's just play it out. Puka's probably going to get his catches tonight, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got to tackle him because he's a load to take down. I've seen him just run DBs over.
Yeah, big dude.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, I mean, he's gigantic, and he's been a big part of their offense. He's gotten to the NFL. They also have a good running back in Kyron Williams. All right, here's to the other side, the Eagles running back, Saquon Barkley. I asked you a question a few minutes ago because I'm just wondering if it'll be good at some point if they get down and have to throw their way back in the game, just to kind of get a sense of if their passing game is ready for that. But Saquon Barkley, do you expect another huge night? And do you think at any point here they're going to back off these carries? We did see, 2 weeks ago against Dallas? Remember he hurt his elbow? And then Kenny Gainwell got an entire series. Last week we saw, I think it was 4 Kenny Gainwell carries. I just wonder at some point, are they going to start giving Gainwell 5 or 6 carries a game? It's still the bulk of it is going to be Saquon. I think we all realize that. But I do wonder as we get closer to the end of this thing, do they try to make sure Saquon is fresh in January? Do you have to think about that at some point?
I think Saquon is a bell cow. And if it's one of those games where we need Saquon to win the game, I think that's where we're going to go into it, and that's what they're going to do. It is what it is at this point. He looks fresh. For a guy that's carried the ball as much as he has this part of the season,
now he looks fresh.
He looks fresh. He looks phenomenal. So if I need Saquon Barkley to help me win a game, then damn it, I'm gonna use Saquon Barkley to help me win this football.
All right, I do think it could behoove them to back off a little bit to give maybe, and I think Gainwell's run it well, right? If Gainwell was ineffective, then I wouldn't even bring this up because they do need to move the football when they run it. All right, let me throw something at you. I heard on the afternoon show the other day. I already have an idea of where Hugh's going to go with this with his answer. I need to throw it at you. Hugh, do you think it all about next year? And let me give the reason why. The comp that you hear a lot is this is like when the Niners signed McCaffrey, right?
Yeah, and then he fell off the cliff.
And right, he had one super great year. They went to the Super Bowl last year, and now he's been in and out of the lineup. He got hurt this year. Do I know it's because of last year? I don't know, but you know how this works. Running backs eventually they just hit a cliff and they fall off. Do you think that is even in any of their thought process?
Not at all. Not at all.
It is a 3-year contract, though.
No, it is. It is. And I know because I think of all the running backs that I've played against, and I know that after that, they have one good year and then they fall off a cliff.
Right.
No, I'm not worried about that because if this is the year we go to the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. If Saquon Barkley is about to embark on something potentially that he's never been a part of. He's going to win at least one more playoff game or be in a position to win more playoff games than he did as a Giant.
He's got one, right? They won the one, and then they came here and they got beat by the Eagles in 2022. It is something to keep an eye on. And Jalen Hurts, in this 6-game winning streak, averaging only 21.8 pass attempts per game, it's remarkably low. I mean, it is. I know they've been up a lot of these games, but last year he averaged 31.6 pass attempts per game. So the last 6 weeks, on average, about 10 attempts per game different than it was last year. So this is clearly a run-based team. If they're winning and they're up in these games, well, I think that could continue. We shall see. All right, coming up on the other side, we're going to have a guest on who covers the Los Angeles Rams for the LA Football Network. Excited to talk to Ryan Anderson on the other side. You guys stay tuned for that. We'll get an update on this Rams team, their inactives, what they bring to the table, and then we'll, of course, close this out with some predictions before kickoff in the 8 o'clock hour. This is the Eagles Radio Network presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Get the Honda of your dreams during Happy Honda Days. Whether it's a rugged new Passport, Pilot with available all-wheel drive, or powerful Ridgeline, turn your dream Honda into reality during Happy Honda Days. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 1.9% APR on a 2025 Honda Passport and a 2.9% APR on a 2025 Pilot or Ridgeline.
Contact your local Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details.
Birds fans will tell you the other team might not notice the early warning signs of trouble, like the quick hits, the pressured throws, the third and longs. Heart failure can sneak up on you too. The early warning signs can be subtle: sudden weight gain, loss of appetite, persistent cough, and more. It's a serious condition that needs expert care from a team like Deborah Heart and Lung Center. So if something's just not right, take a time out and ask a Deborah specialist. DemandDeborah.org.
Kick off game day the right way this season with Hers, the snack that's rooted in Philly. They've been a hometown favorite for nearly 8 decades and counting. So when you say their first team all flavor, you can taste it. Hers runs a deep roster of unbelievable flavors like zesty, sour cream and onion, sweet and smoky honey barbecue, and slightly spicy jalapeno kettle chips. So next Birds game, you can't help but go for 2. Bags, that is. Hers, rooted in flavor.
We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan, preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates, copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
Skip the holiday hustle and bustle. Kickstart your holiday shopping at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa's exclusive pre-sale Black Friday BOGO event. It's buy one, get one Black Friday gift card. Purchase a service gift card at any of the 60 Philadelphia area Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa locations at guest pricing and receive a free promotional gift card. On the hunt for special online deals, explore their exclusive online offers.
Restrictions apply. See spa for more details.
Operating engineers are the men and women that move mountains. And the Engineers Labor Employer Cooperative, ELEC, puts them to work. They create opportunities for the men, women, and union signatory contractors of Local 825, repaving our roads, keeping our homes bright and warm, and even building our favorite team stadium. We understand infrastructure. That's why ELEC and Local 825 are ready to get to work.
Pennsylvanians are creating their own soundtrack. Thanks to PA Lottery Scratch-Offs, excitement's back. Pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters, no matter your choice, scratching's always in order. With big top prizes and second chance drawings, thrills await. They're out there calling. If it's excitement you seek and you're looking for action, play the PA Lottery. And keep on scratching. Must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Benefits older Pennsylvanians every day.
Check it out, the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and camera control for easy access. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. New and existing customers can trade in any phone from one of our top brands in any condition for the new iPhone 16 Pro with unlimited Ultimate. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
We'll react to the Eagles game tomorrow morning. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie, 94 WIP.
You're listening to the Verizon Pregame Show on the Eagles Radio Network.
Welcome back here to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio. Joining us right now is Ryan Anderson of the LA Football Network to preview this game and talk about this Rams team the Eagles will see here coming up in about a little over a half hour for kickoff out at SoFi Stadium. Ryan, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Beautiful Sunday for football, and excited to talk about Eagles and Rams with you.
Well, it's a big one here, Ryan. And my first question to you is, are the Rams, that old Bill Parcells line, you are what your record says you are. My feeling is the Rams aren't, and they're probably better than 5-5, but you know them better than we do. Are they what their record says they are, or is there a good team hiding beneath here?
I think they are exactly what their record says they are. They have some high-end potential. They can do some really fantastic things, both on offense and defense. We've seen this young defense really come into its own in the last few weeks. But there's just a lot of inconsistency involved in it as well. They're kind of all over the place. You've got, an offense that's got Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams, and they can't put up points in the first quarter. You got a defense that seems to be able to get after every quarterback, but then can't close down the slot receiver or what have you. So there's lots of inconsistency built into what they do really well. So that's, I think that's going to be the biggest test that I'm looking out for just a few particular units in particular. So there's definitely, there's definitely some upside, but there's also that inconsistency.
Ryan, how about the quarterback, Matthew Stafford? We know what he's accomplished in his career, of course, bringing a championship to the Rams a few years ago. It feels like at times I still see the old Matthew Stafford there, and he had a huge game last week against the New England Patriots. Also, at times, he'll throw some picks, and it just doesn't look the same. He's not a young guy anymore at 36 years old. In your opinion, how has Stafford played this season?
When he's been able to, he's put this team on his back, and he still has those gunslinger moments where he can really get the ball going. But like I was saying earlier, there's some inconsistencies. They're not always using Kyron Williams to his highest potential. I don't think Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp have really looked like themselves, so they're not really doing him a lot of favors. And beyond those three guys, their weapons really drop off. I mean, Demarcus Robinson has done some nice things for him. They don't really have a tight end to speak of now that Tyler Higbee's been out of the lineup. They brought in Colby Parkinson to try to alleviate some of that, but it really hasn't paid off. So they're not doing a lot for Stafford as a 36-year-old. They built this offensive line to protect him. They've been really banged up, so that hasn't worked out as planned. But we've seen some high-end things. And when things are going right, when they can get into that rhythm, he looks phenomenal.
I know everybody's talking about Jared Verse and how well he's playing, but I'm more curious about Braden Fitz. What has he brought to the table since he's been there?
He brings a real fierce tenacity. He hasn't developed as much as Fisk has, or as Jared Verse has. But he's got several plays in there that he just wrecked it. Last year, one of the things that this team was lacking on defense was that turnover ability. Mm-hmm. And Fisk is just bringing that in there. A couple of strip sacks so far this year and just getting after quarterbacks. And, the pass rush as a whole works together really great as a unit. As individuals, if you plop Fisk down on another team, it's going to be a very different story. But they're all working together, and that's the beauty of that one.
Ryan, what's the feeling around the team and the fan base of the importance of this particular game? Here in Philadelphia, we're discussing the impact of this game on potentially going after a 1 seed in the NFC, fighting with the Lions, who seem to never lose. But it seems like with the Rams, despite the up and down season, it's all right in front of them. I mean, that NFC West, we were watching here in the studio tonight, San Francisco loses big without their quarterback today, and Seattle upended, the Cardinals. So it feels like everyone's kind of just stuck there at like around 500. And I'm looking at the Rams schedule. They end with 3 of their last 4 in the division at San Francisco, and then they end with home against Arizona and Seattle. So feels like despite the up and down, it's right there for the Rams to win this division and get a home playoff game.
Yeah, they just got to win. You said it perfectly. They gotta go through this schedule. They got a few tough ones out there. I think San Francisco, you got to think they're probably just going to shut it down with Bosa and Purdy and everybody else that's hurt on that roster. So they're taken out of the picture. They're going to end the last 3 games. They're going to have Jets and then Cardinals and then Seattle, I believe is how it goes. And they're going to be around 500, I think, going into those games. So this game in particular is huge. If they're able to stop Saquon Barkley, if they're able to contain A.J. Brown, if they're able to, corral Jalen Hurts, and get to above 500, they've just set themselves up. I think ESPN has them at a 9% playoff chance if they lose this game. And you look back at some of those games earlier that they should have taken. That Chicago Bears game, that's going to burn if they don't take this game. The Miami Dolphins game, that's going to burn. So this is. I'm going to say this every week. Every week is an important game. Every week is a must-win game for them to set themselves up to get into the playoffs, because there's some real NFC movers and shakers that are above them, and like you said, the NFC West is pretty wide open.
Yeah, it feels like a one playoff team division. No wild cards. Only be a division winner. Ryan Anderson joining us from the Los Angeles Football Network as we talk about the Eagles and the Rams tonight. Ryan, when you look at this particular matchup here, where's the Rams' biggest advantage other than the 2 wide receivers and their quarterback? Do they have an angle, a player that we should keep an eye on? I know Kyron Williams kind of flies on the radar, but it feels like every time I watch games, he's scoring touchdowns. Give us a player other than the 3 big names, quarterback and the 2 receivers, we should keep an eye on tonight in this matchup.
Yep, I think you hit it right there. Kyron Williams is the guy you guys want to watch out for. He, when they're in rhythm and they got things churning, he can pick up 4 or 5 yards of carry, and that's when this offense really opens up. This was the identity that they wanted to come into the season with. That's what they ended last season with. That drove that playoff run. They went 7-1 to end that season behind Kyron Williams. They haven't really been able to get it going like that this year so far. But man, if he's able to do that in this game, I think they actually have a real chance. And and then on defense, Michael Hoyt is a guy to watch out for. He was a converted defensive line. Now he's playing edge. He's actually playing all over the place. They're doing whatever he can, whatever they're asking of him. And he's a bit of a liability in coverage, so that's something to watch. But he can get after the quarterback with the best of them.
Ryan, how about the home field advantage or lack thereof at SoFi Stadium? It's been a few years now. I remember that first year they got the new stadium and it was brand new, and obviously the Super Bowl year. But is there a home field advantage? Has there begun to be a stronger Rams fan base now that they've been back in LA for a good number of years? It's always interesting when teams move around how long it takes for the city to fully embrace it and to become like anywhere else. Tell us about that. And, we know Eagles fans travel. I expect a lot of them out there tonight. But the idea of home field advantage, does it exist some weeks? Not weeks? Give us the lowdown on that.
If this was the Saints game or the Dolphins game or something like that, I would say, you could probably get a good 50-50 split. But everybody wants to come to LA. Everybody wants to take their kids to Universal, take them to Santa Monica, what have you. So lots of people traveling in here. This game, it's not going to happen. There's Eagles fans run rabid in this town. We went 20 years without a professional football team. Everybody found their corners. Some went to Raiders, some went to the San Francisco 49ers. A lot went to the Eagles. So, and like you said, they're going to travel here as well. I live right down the bar from one of the great Eagles LA bars here in town, and they're rabid even in that establishment. So I think you guys are going to have the home field advantage. I think they're going to have to go to a silent count if things get out of hand.
Wow, that's wild stuff. I'm not surprised though, based on the matchups we've seen in recent years. All right, Ryan, let's end with a prediction from you. Your thought on the game tonight? Who wins? Why?
Yeah, I said it on my own podcast. I'm going to stick with it. I think it's 27-20 Eagles. I think that the Eagles offense is really going to test this young defense that has been inconsistent, that can't tackle well. A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley eat up missed tackles like crazy. So as much as I would love to take a Rams victory here, I think it's going to be Eagles.
Ryan, we appreciate some time. Enjoy the game. Enjoy SoFi Stadium, even though it's probably going to be an Eagles takeover. And who knows, maybe we'll catch up in the playoffs if these teams match up again. Thank you, Ryan.
Have a good one.
Appreciate you guys.
There he goes. Ryan Anderson of the LA Football Network there. All right, Hugh, that was it's amazing to hear from his perspective, someone that covers the Rams. I mean, he expects a takeover tonight by Eagles fans.
Yeah, it sounds like, from what we heard from him, what Eliot kind of alluded to and what Dave alluded to, that there's a lot of Eagles fans in the stadium right now.
Yep. Which, are you surprised? I mean, this happens.
No, not really.
Well, I mean, he kind of laid it out. It's not just that the Rams don't really have a true fan base, because like he said, they left for 20 years, right? So the people just move on and root for whoever.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's a destination. It's kind of like when the Eagles go to Tampa. It's like you want to go
to
there.
Florida.
Yeah.
Take the kids if you want to go, get a little bit of sun. Close to the holidays. A lot of people, I'm assuming, probably going to stay out there for a couple of days, maybe. Maybe this one of those things where, they have family that they're going to see in LA, and so they just extend the vacation, go to the Eagles game, and stay out there for a couple of days. So, yeah, it's a nice spot. And then, we were talking to Eliot the other day. Hell, wasn't he at the beach? Wasn't he walking around the beach?
I'm sure he was. I mean, this guy gets to go everywhere. Brazil, Los Angeles. He's all over the place.
On his linen outfits.
You have a linen outfit? You put a picture up yesterday of one.
Oh, no, not anymore.
It's gone?
Them days is gone.
Are you thinking about bringing him back?
Oh, no, definitely not bringing him back.
What if we're in New Orleans for a Super Bowl party? You roll out the linen outfit.
Even though Seth, he reassured me that linen has not gone out. I just can't wear the big baggy. Just can't wear the big baggy linens anymore.
So maybe some new linen outfits.
Some new little tight fit linens. No, I'm cool.
Tight fit linens. All right, Hugh, we have a few minutes here. Let's go around at the NFL. We don't usually get to do this, right? Because we usually last Thursday we played before any other games. We're on at 1, we're on at 4. The games are going on. Hugh, every game on Sunday is now in the books, other than Sunday Night Football. All right, let's roll through some of the big ones today, including this one that was a shocker considering the point spread. Hugh, the Commanders were 10.5-point favorites over Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. And what happened?
Oh, they took it.
The Cowboys won 34-26. Today was a day. It was okay, Hugh, to root for the Cowboys. It was. I mean, it helped.
You're talking about as far as the standings in the East go.
I mean, the game helped the Eagles out in a significant way, and it had a ridiculous ending. So the Cowboys went up at the end. Jaden Daniels did it again. Hugh, he basically threw another Hail Mary for a touchdown. This one was more like a 50-yard pass and then a 50-yard run or something to that effect. 40-yard pass, 50-yard run by Terry McLaurin. But at the end, they score the touchdown to get to within 1 point, and their kicker missed the extra point. Like they had this game tied. It probably would have went to overtime. There's only 15 seconds to go, and the kicker missed an extra point. So Dallas wins. That drops the Commanders to 7-5. So now you look at the standings. Eagles 8-2 before the game tonight. Commanders 7-5. The Eagles really could go up a significant amount in this division if they win tonight.
Yeah, they're in control of their destiny right now, and they have to take care of this game, man. They have to take care of this game tonight. That's why I think it's important for Jalen, number one, to get the ball out of his hands quick. We've been talking about that all night long. I think that is going to be the key to this game, for Jalen to get the ball out of his hands quick, and get it to his playmakers as quickly as possible.
The other one today that caught everyone's attention, of course, because we're paying attention to how many games they end up winning. The Detroit Lions, Hugh, go to Indianapolis. They were pretty big favorites. They covered the number. They won 20. They didn't even have a huge game offensively. They kind of called the dogs off at some point, but they won 24-6. They held the Colts only 6 points. It feels like every time we talk about this Lions team, they don't just win. They win by 2 or 3 scores.
And they got some pretty manageable games going down the stretch. They're going to have a couple tough ones, but this one with the Indianapolis Colts and what they got going on down there, man, up there, that this was probably going to be – it played out exactly like you thought it was going to play out.
Yeah, the other one that I noticed as we were doing the show here tonight, the pregame show, Packers 38, 49ers 10.
Yeah, they might be dead in the water.
Is it over for the Niners? So
over now?
I think 2 things are worth noting here. One, the NFC West, as we're talking about with the Rams, it's pretty weak. I mean, someone might win that division at 9 wins. So, it's not like the Niners are dead. But I don't know how severe the injury is for Purdy. It must be. I mean, it was severe enough he couldn't play today. And they're 5-6. They look like they're having the Super Bowl hangover that the Eagles had last year.
Yeah, they're struggling a little bit. They're struggling mightily right now. You got a couple weeks ago. What was it? Who was it? Debo slapped the kicker.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I understand that the kicker wasn't doing his job, but that's family business, man. You don't slap the kicker in front of everybody. You slap him when you get in the locker room if you're going to slap him.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't slap him anyway, but if you're going to slap, don't do it in front of the whole team. Yeah, right now I would say the 3 best teams in the NFC are Lions 1, Eagles 2, and I would put the Packers at 3rd. That team has really come together since we saw them in Brazil. All right, coming up on the other side, our predictions for this one. Who wins, by how much? Eliot rejoins us, and we go through it all. This is the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC Bank. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.
Hey, Eagles fans. This is Eagles All-Pro wide receiver Mike Quick. Phones weren't made to be broken, but life happens. So when you break your phone, Verizon and Philly's got you. Trade in any phone for one of their top brands in any condition. Guaranteed, and get a great deal on one of their best 5G phones with unlimited ultimate. Switch now and save. Available at any Philly area Verizon store.
Hey, it's number 59, Seth Joyner. Join me and my Birds teammate Mike Quick, plus Joe Conklin on the BetParks team. BetParks is the official winning partner of the Philadelphia 76ers and the only app that I use. Whether your team scores or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParks online casino and sportsbook app. All your favorite casino games, all right on your phone. New users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours.
See BetParks.com for details. Casino bonus must be wagered against 21 in PA, New Jersey, or Michigan. Gambling. Gambler.
Happy holidays. Welcome to the Nissan year-end sales event. Are you interested in a test drive? Absolutely. Great. Well, there's the new V6-powered Frontier. Oh, the Rogue with an available 12.3-inch touchscreen. All right. Oh, and the all-new Kicks, which has intelligent all-wheel drive. Nice. So what do you think? Finished with all your holiday shopping?
About to be. Toss me the keys. Let's go.
Hurry in for the best deals of the year, only at the Nissan year-end sales event. Now, get a low $259 per month lease for 36 months on Rogue. Available feature, intelligent all-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions. Well-qualified lessees, 2024 Rogue S all-wheel drive, $47.69 initial payment excludes tax, title, and license. Disposition fee due at lease end. Take from new dealer stock. Call 1-888-858-8319 for offer details. Ends 12/2/24.
Football is all about protection. Helmet protects your head. The line protects the QB. But what's protecting you? With Penny, Pennsylvania's health insurance marketplace, you can protect yourself with high-quality health coverage at the lowest cost. It's open enrollment. Doors are open for Pennsylvanians to apply and enroll at penny.com. Enroll by December 15th. You're worth protecting at pennie.com. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
I'm Mark Lynch, business manager of IBEW Local Union 98. We are proud to connect with the best NECA Pendel Jersey chapter. Together, NECA and Local 98 do the work that powers our great city. Local 98's 5,500 highly trained members approach every job with integrity and excellence. Our clients can count on superior craftsmanship completed utilizing the latest methods, and we're always ensuring safety on the job. If you want the best for your next project, use the top-notch professionals of IBEW Local Union 98.
We are all quarterbacks of our financial future, and we have to be boldly committed to the process. It begins with a game plan, preparing yourself for success on and off the field. Not just thinking about short-term wins, but long-term goals. And the best part about winning is winning as one. Build your tomorrow with Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial is the marketing name for Lincoln National Corporation and affiliates. Copyright 2024. Lincoln Financial is a sponsor of Jalen Hurts, who has received compensation.
Bird Gang Spirits is made for the true Philly fans, the pre-gamers, tailgaters, dieharders, and lifelongers. Now you can raise a glass to number 25 himself, Eagles legend LaShawn Shady McCoy, with their new very limited edition Bird Gang Shady Bourbon Whiskey. Crafted to honor Shady's induction into the Eagles Hall of Fame, this special release is the spirit of Philly pride in every pour. Pre-order now to reserve a bottle or two of LaShawn Shady McCoy's Bird Gang Kentucky Bourbon at BOTLD.com. Please drink responsibly.
Breaking down this Rams-Eagles game tomorrow on the afternoon show from 2 to 6 on 94 WIP.
This is the Verizon Pregame Show on Eagles Radio.
Welcome back to the Verizon Pregame Show. The Philadelphia Eagles powered by Verizon. Hugh Douglas, Joe Giglio, Eliot, Shorr-Parks. We'll get to our predictions here in a couple minutes. But Eliot, today's results, because they're all in now. The way I could frame it is, it feels like we're starting to have some teams separate in the NFC and some teams fall back off. And it feels like the Lions, the Eagles, and I would say the Green Bay Packers look like the three best teams in this conference. And then it feels like there's a little gap out. I know Minnesota's up there record-wise, but I don't quite buy them as much. After that, it feels like there's a drop-off now.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would also say that's probably because of the quarterbacks. I mean, we talk so much about where Jalen is at, ranking around the league, and is he top 10? Is he top 5? He's certainly a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. And I think you could argue at times he might be the best quarterback in the NFC, or at least in that short list on the top 1 or 2. And I think that's what you see. Minnesota, right? Minnesota has been okay. I know they beat the Bears today, but like anyone afraid of Sam Darnold? NFC South. I don't know if there's any quarterbacks there off the top of my head that I can think that would scare people. So I look at this as it is really coming down to Eagles, Lions, and then maybe the Packers with their record. But I agree. I think there's a clear top 2 with Eagles and Lions, and the Packers are certainly getting closer.
Yeah, the other thing to note is, as we talk a lot about seeding, and obviously the goal would be the number 1 seed, but Eliot, if the Eagles have the 2 seed, there is a chance the way things break down in the playoffs, if the Packers are they come out and they win a wild card game as a wild card team, the Eagles could avoid them. You see what I mean? Like the bracket could play out where the 5 seed Packers or 6 seed, however they come in, win a playoff game over the Falcons or Bucks or whatever, and then they go to Detroit because they're the lowest seed left, and the Eagles end up playing, I don't know, the Seattle Seahawks or the Arizona Cardinals in the second round. There's a way the 2 seed could, in a way, benefit the Eagles in the beginning of the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I think obviously you prefer the 1 seed.
Yeah.
You get the bye, you have home field advantage. The other thing I would keep an eye on, and I know they got smoked today, but I have no interest in the Niners coming in here as that wild card team with the playoff experience they have, with the confidence that they would have coming into the link. Again, I know they're not playing well, but
because they punched us in the mouth
last year.
Yeah, I mean, the path to the Super Bowl this year is setting up to be harder than I think it was in 2022.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, in 2022, they got the Giants with Daniel Jones, who now, by the way, is a free agent, and according to Adam Schefter, is going to sign with a playoff team. Eliot, you have interest in that in Daniel Jones?
Of course he does. He's Eliot.
Yeah, but look, of course. But I also think Daniel Jones should have interest in coming to the Eagles. Like the Eagles could use Daniel Jones. You sign him to practice squad. You see what he has. You learn him, teach him the offense, and maybe he can help you later in the year. But if Daniel Jones is smart, he would come to Philadelphia. He has played in New York for a bad franchise with a bad head coach, a bad offensive line, bad weapons, bad GM. I think it'd be really good for his career to actually come to a competent organization and potentially, look, we all hope it doesn't happen. Hopefully Jalen stays healthy. But if he has to play here, that's a lot different than having to, go to Dallas and play or going to one of these bad teams. So I think they should have interest, and I think Daniel Jones should have interest in coming to Philadelphia.
So I didn't have as much interest as you did at first, Eliot, but when I saw the report this morning that it seems like he is interested in going to a playoff team, even though he'll back up, obviously, he'd rather that than go to a bad team just to get some more reps and put some stuff on tape. Like, Eliot, I would have interest in signing him just to keep him away. And not that I'm scared of him, but to keep him away from a contender. Like, if the Lions sign him, he's better than Hendon Hooker. And if Goff goes down in a game, Jones would just be more difficult to deal with. Same thing with the Niners. You mentioned the Niners. Purdy's hurt right now. Part of the reason why they didn't win today, or they weren't even in the game without him. I think there's a real chance he ends up in a place like Minnesota or San Francisco and backs up those teams, and he might come in and play in a real game.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Kenny Pickett play. So maybe Kenny Pickett would do a good job if he had to go in. I didn't think he had the best training camp in the world, but, we've not seen him in a game. Obviously, in the preseason, he wasn't great. But Daniel Jones, I think, has more raw ability than Kenny Pickett does. I think he's a better runner. I think he has a stronger arm. And, he's played in big games just like Kenny Pickett has. So I know Tanner McKee's still on the roster. I don't think they're going to release him. But if we're talking about cutting a Nick Gates, right, and, even if Daniel Jones will potentially go on the practice squad, which I wouldn't completely rule out, I think it is smart to get Daniel Jones in the building.
We'll see where he signs. It sounds like he clears waivers on Monday, tomorrow, and then he'll be free to sign because no one's going to pick up the pretty big salary he has. So he'll go through waivers and then be free to sign somewhere with someone. It's rare you get a player, a quarterback with that much experience that's released to you at this point in the season.
Job. He's definitely going to find a job somewhere. I'm surprised that the Dallas Cowboys wasn't one of the teams that was interested in him, though. But he's going to get a job somewhere.
Yeah, I hope. I get a sense his agent put it out that he doesn't want to play for a bad team. So maybe they didn't want him for that reason. Whatever. We'll see where Jones goes and if the Eagles are involved when he clears waivers tomorrow. We got a bigger thing on board. That's the game tonight. Let's get to some predictions on this one. Hugh, I know on Friday you had some
trepidation.
Yeah, well, you could use that word. You saw this as maybe a challenging game for the Eagles. Where do you come down? How does it play out? Hugh Douglas's prediction for Sunday Night Football.
I think it's still going to be a challenging game. There's no question about that. But, I can't go against my birds, man. I'm thinking to be honest, 27-21. I think this is going to be a tight game. I think this, the young corners are going to be tested in this game. So I'm thinking 21-27 Birds.
All right, 27-21 Eagles, the prediction from Hugh Douglas. I've had a difficult time with this one. I think when the week started and then even to the middle of the week, I felt pretty strongly this was going to be an Eagles win. And as the week has gone on, and maybe you soured me here, Hugh. Maybe you poisoned my brain on this one. I just get a sense this is a challenging game. A good front for the Rams. The Eagles have played so well for so long. I wonder if there is a let-up in there, if they're due for something, to go off the rails a little bit. But they've been great for a long time. And I look at it, and I think the Rams, with this quarterback and these receivers, is going to be a challenge for the Eagles. And no Devonte pushed me the other way. I'm going to predict the Rams to win this one. I think the Eagles drop this game 24-23, and the winning streak comes to an end for a night here in Los Angeles. 24-23 Rams without Devonte Smith, a challenge for the Eagles. Eliot, where do you come down in a game that should teach us a lot about where the Eagles are at right now?
Yeah, I think tonight is the night for the stars, and the Eagles have more stars than the Los Angeles Rams do. They have more on offense. They have more on defense. And honestly, picking games now reminds me a little bit of 2022. I agree with you, Joe. Can you talk yourself into this being a tough spot against a good team that needs it? Absolutely. But in 2022, what did the Eagles do? They took care of business each and every week. Very rarely do Sirianni and Jalen lose a game they are supposed to win where they are favorites. I don't think that happens tonight. Great minds think alike, Hugh. I had the same score as you. I won't change it. I'll go Eagles 27, Rams 21.
We're all right around the total on the game, which was about 48.5. All right, that wraps up the Verizon pregame show. Remember to stay tuned after the game for the PDQ Point of Sale Systems postgame show with Rob Ellis and Jason Avant. For Hugh Douglas, Eliot Shorr-Parks, Dave Spadaro, Dave Breitmeyer, Dan Wilson, Austin Yim, and Mike Angelina. I'm Joe Giglio. Now stay tuned for Merrill and Mike as they bring you all the action on the Eagles Radio Network, presented by PNC. Brilliantly boring since 1865 on 94 WIP.